Hello and welcome back to HCS Weekly. I thought, this is my life. I have to go pro in Halo.
In my head, thought that was more efficient, and I guess I was right.
He was like the god. We would have to 2v1 like just to beat this guy. Like
I don't know, man. I'll try to reach you. You're like, oh, see you guys later.
A lot of Halo in my life, man. It's been a fun journey. I love it.
Hello and welcome back to HCS Weekly, your weekly destination for all things HCS. I'm your host, ShyWay, and guys, I can barely contain my excitement right now. We've got two massive events coming up this weekend. We have DreamHack Dallas, of course, and then following that, we have E3. This is just a great time to be a Halo fan. And of course, coming on the show to break it all down, we've got a big interview today with somebody I know you all know, Bravo. But before we get there, we've got our news, we've got our trick jump of the week, and of course, we also have our grassroots BR skin and giveaway. All you got to do to enter the competition is type !grassroots in the chat. It'll enter you in and you can get that code, or you can get the goodies at the end of the show. So stick around, guys. Of course, we have a Q&A at the end of the show that you can participate in as well. Let's get right into the news with MattyRums. How's it going, Matty?
Hey, what's going on, dude?
Good. I'm doing well, man. It's nice to be back. It's nice to be talking about Halo, especially with everything we have coming up this weekend and beyond. Let's break down some of the news here. We got some playlist updates as well. MCC, they're continuing to update it.
Yeah, it's nothing huge, but they added the 8v8 snipers into the big team battle rotation. I believe you can select it on the bottom.
Right.
In the I forget what they call it, the browser.
Okay. So super simple update there. Nothing big right there.
Yeah, they added it to all the games. I didn't list all the maps because there's too many to mention, but it's there. And then they just made a few small changes to the Halo Combat Evolved Mayhem playlist. They removed Derelict and Longest from the Slayer game type.
I guess it didn't work out too well.
I guess, yeah.
And guys, if you don't already, sorry to interrupt you there, Matty. Just to let people know, Mayhem playlist was the 250 kill like Slayer mode. I guess it's Slayer and a couple other game types, and it's 8v8. So it is total Mayhem, 250 kills to win. And I guess, so they removed Derelict and Longest, and then there's another update they made with it as well.
Yeah, from the One Flag Siege game type, they took out Battle Creek and they added Rat Race.
Okay. So constantly trying to update and see what works best for all the Mayhem. Of course, if you guys like Halo CE, this is a great way to play the game and to enjoy. They're continuing to apply updates there. I remember last week they had something for Halo 4 as well. So it's nice to see across all the Halo titles. Halo Data Hive has an update as well.
Yeah, so as most people know, it was the website was just only Halo 5. He announced that he had an update to it. I guess maybe he got more. They get a little bit of help from 343. I'm not sure what, but you can now search your last 100 games for Master Chief Collection. Mm. So if you know at the top of the screen, there's like a search where you can search for a gamer tag. Right. There's a little drop-down menu next to that, and you can search either Halo 5 or MCC. That's
pretty incredible, because I think Halo 5 had some sort of an infrastructure already in place for tracking data on players.
Yeah, it had
and
an
wins
API.
Right.
But I'm not sure what happened, but he put out that tweet sometime last week, so definitely a good update.
Yeah, I'm just saying, wouldn't it be way harder to track those stats in MCC when I don't think they have that infrastructure in place, right? So he's got to...
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, there's been a few, I guess, like, technical breakthroughs or whatever you want. I don't know what you want to call it, but
sure.
There's someone else that had a tool for streaming where it'll automatically update your win-loss and your KD after each match. Mm-hmm. So someone must have found something that helped all these people out to make these things.
Yeah, so nice to see. Of course, you guys can check out at Halo Data Hive on Twitter. They've already been doing this for Halo 5 for a long time. You get all your stats in Halo 5, and now I guess they're applying that to MCC, which is great. We have a lot of people playing MCC and want to get their stats and see how they match up with their friends, whatever it is. Of course, DreamHack Dallas is the big event everybody's talking about. The talent has been announced. What do we got?
Yeah, so we got a lot of our friends from across the pond will be joining us. Lottie and Lethal are on the desk, not Lethal the player. Yeah. They'll be on the desk. Casting will be Wonderboy, Gaskin, Clutch, and T-Squared. And then Hines will be doing the observing.
Now that you brought it up, honestly, I think it'd be cool to see Lethal the player on the desk. I think that man would kill it on the desk. If you watch him on live stream, he's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. His YouTube video highlights have been great, too.
Yeah, put him on the desk. I want to see what happens. But of course, this is a very talented lineup. We've seen these guys time and time again. One of the big ones I want to point out, Wonder Boy casting again is great to see. And I know he had a tweet about it where he like kind of listed all the events he was in. He was observing for most of them. We didn't get to see him, and now he's coming back as a caster down to popular demand. I know people wanted him back. T squared, hashtag free T squared, right? Free T2, sorry. He's casting as well, so that's great to see. Hines has been killing it on observing, so he's just going to continue doing his thing. And I mean, everybody here is really talented and deserves that role. I'm actually a little disappointed I don't see Bravo here, and maybe we'll have to ask him about that in just a little bit. But of course, we have the DreamHack Dallas handbook released as well, so some more details here.
Yeah, so majority of it is information for players attending, but inside the document is the breakdown for the 4v4. It was $50,000 grand prize. First place gets $25,000, second $10,000, third $6,000, fourth $3,000, fifth $6,000, $2,000, seventh, eighth $1,000. And for the free for all, which is $5,000 total, first place gets $3,000, second place $1,500, and third gets $500. And also, they noticed the free for all will be 256 players maximum, so it will be capped at that. It's first come, first serve, which we've mentioned before, on-site registration only.
Right. Yeah, so you sign up at the event. You got to be ready to go. You got to wake up early. You can't be partying too hard the night before, and get yourself signed up, and you can compete in the event. And of course, if you have a conflicting schedule, remember we talked about this. If you're competing as part of a team and you're also signing up for FFA, you're going to be forfeiting one of those options, right? You can't be signed up in both places, and you always got to be keeping an eye on your schedule. So guys, careful there. But a great opportunity to get some extra cash if you're good at FFA. I know Ryan Noob's been killing in FFA. There's a couple really good players who also compete and then put themselves in there, get a little extra money as well. We have some crucial roster changes that just happened over last weekend. We've been having roster changes all over the place. What's going on, Matty?
The big ones to note was Frosty and Eco, who were formerly on GMS, are now teaming with Ace and Neighbor, who were formerly on Elevate with Trippy and Penguin. So Frosty Eco, Ace and Neighbor is one team. They're representing Falling Esports.
Right.
Lux Gaming, they dropped Omega and picked up Penguin, since the two of them, that team pretty much disbanded.
Okay.
And then GMS, this one's not confirmed, but I was told from a credible source that GMS picked up Trippy and Zerka to replace Frosty and Eco.
So these are some pretty interesting last-minute changes here. The big one, of course, Ace, Neighbor, Frosty, Eco. That's one hell of a squad right there. Like, of course, everybody on this squad, like, incredibly talented. They're all very capable of taking the top spots in the event, but they're coming together so late, so close to the event. I don't know what that means as far as, teamwork, whether or not they're going to gel well together, but that's exciting to see. Big shout outs to Venom, who runs Falling Esports. He managed to acquire this team in this kind of like last second scenario here when these players they dropped from, I believe, Elevate, right, previously.
Yep.
So really great to see Fallen Esports coming in and representing that, and then they will be competing now in the event. We have Lux Gaming with Penguin, and then what does Lux Gaming even look like right now? They're Penguin and
it's Gilkey, Rain, Wanward, and Penguin.
Okay, pretty solid squad. I haven't seen is it Wanward?
Wanward.
Yeah. Wanward. I haven't seen much of his gameplay yet, but of course the other three very talented. GMS, Trippy, Zerka, and then you have
Fantasy and Gabriel.
And Fantasy and Gabriel have been teaming together forever. They were the winners of the 2v2.
Yeah, they originally teamed with Zerka. That was the original GMS roster. So
and didn't Zerka split off from the roster and put the whole post about how?
Well, he was dropped by the. He was dropped. Of the guys. Yeah.
And now he's.
I said this was Trippy and Zerka going to GMS was told to me last week. So for all I know, it could have changed again by then, but
it's not confirmed.
Yeah, and that's not confirmed. But
interesting turn of events, though, if it is, considering how much switching around we've had. We had Frosty there at one point. Of course, if we go to our top teams on the qualifiers, you got very different results here. You got the points totals. Of course, all of this may not be reflective of our final, placements in the event, but you can give me the quick run through.
Yeah. So a few teams have moved around based off of the roster changes. So now top seed is Infinite. Second is Tox Gaming. Third is now Lux Gaming with the Penguin acquisition. Okay. Fourth, GMS. Fifth, Falling Esports. Sixth, Mason Minotaurs. Seventh, Denial. 8th Seiji Sports, and 9th Reciprocity.
Right.
And there might be some other teams in there based off of some, I guess, amateurs, if you want to say, that are forming squads. But out of the rosters that I do know, that's the list I came up with.
Right. Well, a lot of incredible teams, of course. Reciprocity sitting on the bottom. Like I said, guys, the points not reflected. They didn't compete in all the qualifiers, so a lot of this isn't really going to tell the story as far as placements in the event. Even just being reminded of Denial. Like, Denial almost won the St. Louis event. There are a lot of really talented teams that are still around here that still are, capable of taking these top spots that I just can't wait to see what happens coming up in this event. A lot of opportunity here, a lot of reason to tune in on twitch.tv/Halo, guys. And then for our event this week, that's all it is. It's DreamHack Dallas, right? Yep. I'm looking at it right here.
Friday to Sunday.
So that's it. That's what we have to look forward to. And then E3 following that, going to be very exciting. Matty, thank you so much for joining me. And of course, guys, we've got all of this on noobcombo.com. If you want any details here, Matty's always putting up the details on noobcombo.com. You can make sure to check that out, get all the associated links, and check out the news. Thank you once again for joining me, dude.
Anytime, man.
See you around.
Take it easy.
And that closes our news for the week. Of course, right from the news, we're jumping into our trick jump of the week with ClearlyMe. Let's see what he's got this week. How's it going, Clearly?
It's going good, man. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. We've got a great interview today. We got big events coming up. I can't not be in a good mood. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. I understand.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So do you have any trick jumps, and is this trick jump going to be applicable in any way to competitive play? Like, is there a chance we could see this at the tournament?
I sure hope so.
Okay, what do we got?
So. It's on the pip. It's a simple little slide jump. It's nothing crazy, intricate like any ghost jumping, edge ghosting, over jumping, anything like that.
Okay.
But it is an insanely long slide. Now, when you're watching it in third person, it doesn't really seem as though you really get that much of a distance. But when you see it in first person, you can see how fast that I actually launch right there.
Damn.
But it's a very quick way. Yeah, to get across them there for sure. Definitely useful if utilized in the right way. Definitely hard to hit under pressure, I will say that. But given time and practice, you kind of get the idea of where to jump from exactly, how much speed you need to have, how you're supposed to hold the analog stick as you're going down. But basically what you do is when you jump off of that post right there, you're holding crouch and releasing crouch and jumping at the same exact time right as soon as you hit the very edge right there, which gives you a momentary boost and will launch you across. Most of the time when you do attempt to go for it, you tend to fall short, or you kind of smack that cage end right there on top of S2.
Right.
But sometimes if you fall a little short, you can jump off of that cage portion right there above it, S2. You can grab it sometimes you cannot. That is referred to as a juggle if you do hit that part.
Okay. Well, I love that you showed it on the pit. I got to say, man, because this is something that I could actually see a player do. This could actually be useful, too. I mean, if for whatever reason you're applying pressure from that barricade there, you can jump off of it and get this slope jump and make your way up to S2. And even if you don't, like, the momentum you're getting off that jump seems to pretty, like, significantly change your position on the map in, like, very quick fashion as well. So, I mean, even that could be advantageous. I would love to see something like that pulled off. Have you been showing anybody in particular this one? Is Gabriel kind of tuning in? And
no, I haven't showed Gabriel this one yet. No. I know he's seen my MLG tricks video that I made for the map, which that clip right there is what I used to open that video. Okay. But I never went over it personally with him, but I should. Yeah. I definitely should.
Yeah.
But it's it's not too bad. You get the hang of it. You can get a few times out of 10. Definitely worth a try every once in a while if you're in that area and need to get out of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, of course, guys, if you saw that jump, you liked that jump, and this video wasn't enough for you to learn how to do it in one shot, then what I would recommend is go check out ClearlyMe on Twitter. You can look up at MCC Trick Jumps. I was like, where is it? That's where it is right there. MCC Trick Jumps. And of course, from there, you've got a Discord associated. You've got your YouTube channel. There's there's so much that you can talk about with people who are excited about trick jumps and just help build the community and help learn about these important mechanics in these games that could really actually have a pretty dramatic effect. I'm hoping we can see what happens in this tournament. Are you excited for it as well? Are you going to be looking out for trick jumps at the event?
I definitely am.
Yeah.
I definitely am. I've been training a lot of people, and they said that if they implement some stuff, they would give me some shout outs. So I'm definitely going to keep a lookout.
Awesome, dude. Looking forward to it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me once again, man, and looking forward to the jump you have for next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
See you around.
See you.
All right, guys, that closes our news and our trick jump for the week. And finally, we're going to jump into our interview for today. I'm very excited to welcome the esteemed caster, one you all know and love. Welcome, Bravo, to HCS Weekly.
Hey, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
I do hear you. How's it going, dude?
It's great. Excited to be part of the show. I just learned something new and a jump I haven't seen in many years of playing Halo 3. That thing is pretty sweet.
Yeah,
that's sweet. I mean, you could abuse the heck out of that. If you think about the speed at which you need to get to top turret in a lot of situations, that's pretty amazing. But yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, no, and it's crazy that people are still figuring this stuff out now, like in MCC. And I'm not sure if people had known about it back in Halo 3. There might be some people who did, but it's just great to see that even like 10 years later, this stuff is still happening. By the way, are you doing okay connection-wise? Like I was seeing some messages in the bottom of the screen that you've been like dropping in and out.
Good. I found out the state that we're in. As long as I touch nothing in this PC, we're good. But apparently, like because the way we launched, it's like duct taped together. But I think we're good. I think we're good. I believe.
Okay. And then outside of that, you've been doing okay. You're not too busy. I know that I think every week you're like in a different part of the world. Like what's been going on with you recently? How you been doing?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm very busy, but a very good busy. Working on a few projects, a few things coming up. I've slowed the travel down just a bit, just because the summer is going to be full of a lot of travel for work.
Right.
But other than that, I'm in a good spot right now. Finally finding some little bit of routine to get some stuff done. It's good.
That's awesome, man. And of course, yeah, like the traveling you're going to be doing with Halo Outpost Discovery. We got to talk about that a little bit later as well, which sounds exciting. And of course, you've got just a hell of a career in Halo that I want to get into. Before we do actually get into the interview, though, I've got this question for you. It's kind of an elephant in the room here. I don't know if you guys have checked out Bravo's Twitter recently, but the top of your Twitter, there's a picture of you practically spooning Olivia Munn. What the hell's going on?
Whoa. This is respectful. This is prom pose. This is prom pose.
This is a real prom pose? This is like real good Photoshop. What is this? No, she actually replied to the post too.
Yes, she did. Yep, the reply is better. Do you have the reply? There we go. Wow, you guys are ready with this
We're
stuff.
ready to go, dude.
Yeah, that's by far the best tweet I've ever gotten. And also, I couldn't have asked for anything better. But yeah, no, that's not spooning. That's prom pose. That was.
Sorry, I was playing a joke on you, but yes, prom. That's a real prom photo.
No, it's not a real prom photo. We were at this. It was like I have to thank Rishi Chadha, who is now the head of Twitter Gaming. He replied to it, and if anyone caught it, I replied like literally couldn't have done it without you. Gunnar had a bunch of us out. Like, man, this is a while ago now, 2011. It was a bunch of the early Gunnar crew. So like Hastro, T Martin, Jericho, myself, Neighbor, a few others, just out to like San Diego Comic-Con one year. Okay. And there was a photo booth, and there was Olivia Munn, and I'm sure I asked her for the photo, but prom pose was her idea, because don't think for a second that like 21-year-old me had like the cojones to suggest prom pose Olivia Munn. So it was her idea, and we got the photo, and it lives on as a great moment. Yeah.
Damn, dude, that's incredible. I spent so long looking at it, trying to find signs of like Photoshop or something. I was like, it's too good. It looks real. Like there's no way.
Yeah, it's funny. There's a few photos from that I have. There's a bunch. Oh man, I wonder if they're right here. Well, let me see real quick. 1 second. That would be incredible if they are.
I was like, oh no, not in your computer, because if you touch something, it's gonna.
I think they got moved, but
Oh, okay.
Like there's photos of like me, Hastro Squared, Gold Glove, Jericho, T Martin, but there's a few with Olivia Munn. So I got actually when I posted that photo the first time on Facebook, like quite a while ago, 7 or 8 years ago. Someone came like at my throat, saying that like this is photoshopped. I could tell because of this. So luckily I had like more photos with her that I could like post to shut the guy up. But yeah, people are gunning to see if that thing's photoshopped.
She has some big fans, man.
she even liked the Instagram post and commented on Instagram too.
Damn, dude, that's incredible.
I know, she's great. Yeah.
Well, nice to see that even somebody as popular as her is still,
Yeah, she's cool.
All right. Well, let's get into your career here. So today, you're an esports host and caster. You're on Forbes 30 Under 30 in gaming. Previously, you spent 5 years working at 343 as a producer and community manager. And before that, you coached 2 legendary Halo rosters, Triggers Down and Final Boss, all while establishing your success as a YouTube content creator, which is one hell of an esports resume so far. So let's go back to the beginning. How did you first get into Halo?
Oh, man. I think I got into Halo kind of the same way that a lot of guys and girls my age did. Really, it was just Halo 1 came out and everyone was talking about it. It was before I had a Xbox on my own. Friends were talking about these Halo LAN parties, and I was really lucky to grow up in an area in central New Jersey where there's these neighborhoods that have, they're packed with houses. So in any given like block, you had, no exaggeration, 10 plus kids around your age that at the time were playing Halo 1 and Halo 2.
Right.
So I remember like wanting to be part of, just like they were always like, we're having these Halo LAN parties. I didn't even know what Halo LAN party meant. I was just like, I gotta be a part of these. And then I'd say what really got me hooked is kind of the culture around that, and then like 2.5 hour games of Blood Gold CTF where you're learning how to get every single vehicle perfectly jammed in the base so that a flag can't be pulled.
Right.
And the only reason the games would end is because one of the Xboxes was like old and it would quit, and then the whole system link goes down.
Oh my God.
So that was kind of my first intro into just falling in love with Halo multiplayer. It was kind of like that, which is not a unique story. I think there's certainly hundreds of thousands, if not millions of similar stories from the days of Halo 1 like that.
Well, not to discredit or anything. I think that the biggest thing is just where it all happened, the neighborhood, right? Because I mean, everybody had similar experience as far as, the first time multiplayer playing it hours on end. But like you're near so many people in a neighborhood that are near your age that are all playing it. Like you said, there are LAN parties as well. So like at what point did that just hobby for Halo start to shift into more of a lifestyle? Because it seems like from very early on, you were hanging out with people who were like the best players in the world and playing with them on a regular basis. When did you start meeting some of those guys?
Yeah, it took a good while. And it was something that I think really was what attracted me eventually to playing competitively, was exactly what you're describing, playing with the best players in the world. But it took a while to get there.
Right.
And this is a story with a lot of guys that have gone on to great success too. Like I certainly wasn't even near one of the best players like in my high school or anything like that. There was, a lot of competition I also went to a really big high school, almost 4,000 kids.
Okay.
So the way that you were viewed socially was how good you were at Halo. It's truly like your Halo 2 Xbox Live rank was like kind of what people knew about you.
That's incredible.
So I kind of, I really got into, I think the bridge into competitive play. We have, Max Hoberman and his team at Bungie to thank for this, is I think online ranking system just paved the way for people to think about Halo and competitive console gaming in the right way, so that when something like MLG comes on your radar, you're like, oh, I know, this is awesome. Like this, I'm a pre-title update 116. This guy's a 22. All this stuff. He obviously standby bridges, yada yada yada. You kind of already have this hardwired into your head about competition through Xbox Live, but.
Right.
Where I really and at first I really wasn't too into the tournament circuit, even right when Halo 2 launched. I didn't know a lot about it, but slowly friends kind of introduced me to like the big names in the scene. So back in the day, we're talking just to pull names out of a hat. Obviously, STK 3D, but even like the likes of learning about Poison, Little Poison, Sad Panda A, Blackjack, all these kind of ancillary figures that weren't either on the Team Freaks or the Team 3Ds, et cetera, but that were it was kind of cool to learn about the scene. And it was truly like thrown together blogs, whatever MLG had at the time. MLG had really good content, and I read every single article. I mean, like the Killer N interview. I'll never forget that picture of him in front of like the Hostile poster. Elamite interviews. I remember reading like before New York 06, I'm printing out like all the interviews they had and like reading them in like math class. So I started to get really into the aspect of the idea that these are the best players in the world, and I immediately recognized how special that was. That these competitors truly are the best in the world, and I would never be, or there's a good chance that I'd never be this close to kind of that kind of center of something as I was then. So I remember. It's funny. I'm home visiting family for a wedding and also my grandfather's birthday. So it was in this very room that I remember sitting and playing against. Even it wasn't say the top 3, top 4 teams. I remember playing against guys like Vegito, Shook One, a few others. And I remember like my dad coming in the room. It's like 3 a.m. He was like, "It's a school night. What are you doing on Xbox Live?" And I just like take the headset off and I'm like, "Dad, these are some of the best players in the world, and I'm gonna need to finish these games. And I put the headset back on. And I slowly kind of just started to,
which means nothing to the dad, by the way. It's just playing the best players.
But
in the world.
but I got away with it. But I was able to stay on Xbox Live.
Right.
But yeah, I think I slowly kind of started attending events. So my first event was New York Finals 05, which was, it was an amazing event to see. It was, for anyone who was there or remembers the footage, an amazing finish to like a midship ball. And just, I remember being in the same room as a lot of the guys that I ended up coaching, competing against, etc. And then from there, all of 06, attended every event I could. And then officially in 2007, started coaching full time. Right. And started out coaching like a top 24 team. It's a good team, but I kind of hovered around coaching teams. We did well that event. We just missed top 4. This is probably I think I owe a big part of my success to Charlotte 2007 because I was coaching Wu-Tang Financial, which was Sure Shot, Silver Sun, Fire, and Bullets. Okay. So really talented top end players, semi-pro players, and we've played Legends, which is like, oh man, at the time I want to say it was IJOI, Defy, and that crew. I can't remember the exact roster, but they had a 4th seed, and we choked in a lockout ball, and like should have stolen their top 4 seed, and should have been like on a clear path to pro passes and pro team for the year. And choking that series, I think I was like, wow, I need to succeed now. I feel like we came so close to stealing a top 4 seed in the middle of a season opener. So from there, for all of 2007, I coached teams all the way up. I think I ended the year with FBI Icon, and we got 6th at Nationals. And then 2008 is when I, just kind of got the offer to coach Final Boss. So yeah, that's kind of the semi-condensed version of kind of going from just playing on Xbox Live to getting myself to tournaments and kind of meeting a whole bunch of people, and then eventually deciding that I wanted to focus on school and coach, and then try to figure out what I could do from there.
Yeah, so there's kind of a crazy transition there. First of all, you said you're reading like MLG articles and you're so invested in it. How old are you when you're like this?
Yeah, this is I was anywhere between 14 and 16.
Okay.
I remember even sitting in class and like, for absolutely no reason other than my own entertainment, writing like detailed strategies to like counter pushes on like a 2v2 lockout to like exactly how to nade window from elbow, and which I got those ideas actually from, oh gosh, I want to say it was halo-tips.org. Anyone who remembers that site. It was one of the first places I saw the like the Rippin montages, the Nakamura, Nataku, Stu, those guys, the Waka, I believe, halo-pro.org, I believe is what it was. Okay. And they also, in addition to those, they had these older articles that were written by like Strange Purple, so STK Doug from Halo 1, that were like these text-based tip articles of like free-for-all, hang 'em high, and all these, there might have been a Damnation 4v4 article in there. So I kind of saw that and wanted to do something similar. I mean, I never published this. I never posted it. It was kind of just for my own enjoyment. So I was kind of like, I actually remember also sitting down in a notebook, like, what are the things that I can do to try to make a name for myself in the MLG scene? How can I build a career here? And I just taking those kind of notes instead of paying attention in school. Yeah. That's
incredible. At like 14, dude, that like, I can't even at 14, I'm not even comprehending my future. I'm being a delinquent, it's like, anyway, I find that's unbelievable. And I guess it's just kind of a product of the world that you're surrounded with. Like you said, everybody played Halo, and almost like your social status was based on the kind of level you were at in Halo. I find it interesting that you transitioned into coaching so early, though. I guess you realized early on that you just kind of had the mind for coaching. You didn't want to do the competition for too long, or you kind of tried your hand at it. It was.
Yeah. I mean, so all my playing was always with locals. So I competed through end of 2005, all of 2006 with locals. And I mean, we had some okay finishes. I was scrimming with decent players, but yeah, I felt like I really wanted to at least try coaching. I don't think I had any idea at the time that I would end up coaching full time for 5 years. I didn't, in that 5 year span, 2007 to 2012, I didn't miss a single event. I coached at every one of them, and I don't think I had any idea I was doing that. But I think it kind of started with this is pre Facebook, so I'm messaging like people on MySpace, just like people that are around just in the scene. So I remember one specifically was Vogue Megan, who's back at events now, which is amazing. But just kind of messaging people that were in the same circles as me, being like, hey, I think I want to coach. And maybe a few of them had coached at events at the end of 06 as well, when coaching started to pick up a bit. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of reaching out to a few of them, like, hey, what do you think of it? How'd you like it? Do you know of any teams that need coaches? And then messaging people on the forums as well. And I thought I thought I'd be maybe decent at it. I don't remember specifically thinking, oh yeah, this is something I'm going to be good at, or even this is something I'm going to excel at. But I think just I knew I'd be into it, so I kind of wanted to give it a shot. And yeah, and then I think also Halo 2 is a very demanding game for coaches on a number of levels. I think arguably the biggest of which was you were in a ballroom with 1,000 people, and the primary role was you were screaming over the volume of the room just to make sure the guy on the left knew what the guy on the right was doing. Right. And you're telling, it was, and then on top of that, if you look at a game like, Creek Flag or Creek Slayer, when you're timing power-ups and a sniper and a rocket, and these are dynamic timers. So you're running stopwatches, you're running clipboards. It was a very different game to coach. So I think I really enjoyed all that. I liked kind of keeping energy up on a team. And I think I took the role seriously before a lot of people did. It's not that I took it more seriously. I think I was in the right time, right place, that I was just taking coaching really seriously, at the first event of 07, which I think put me in an advantageous spot to kind of see where I could go with it.
Kind of makes you a bit of a pioneer in the space as well, because there wasn't really anything quite like that. Like Halo was very new as far as competitive gaming goes. You might have had stuff in Asia, and StarCraft kind of came into the scene. Or
CS kind of had coaches, because if you look at like anything to like pre-CGS or during CGS, that manager coach role has always kind of been a hybrid. Right. Someone like Jason Lake kind of pioneered that as well. So I followed in some footsteps, certainly. But for console, I think Halo was the first one to do it.
Yeah, and then kind of good groundwork for the future too, because Halo 2 would have been mayhem. Like just the mic, technology they had would just not work well for that type of environment. You're shouting, you've got your, like you said, your timers and everything.
Most teams didn't have headphones at all, right?
Right, they just yelled at each other.
Yeah, if you were lucky, you had a pair of Sennheisers, right? You have 3D and a few other, and like all the top 8 teams are wearing Sennheisers and such.
Right.
But everyone else's. Just half the time you're playing split screen out of a tube, and we got 4 POV volumes coming out of really crappy tube speakers until you get out of split screen. So it was a lot of fun though, man. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was a blast.
Yeah, and the good thing is that at some point you started picking up a camcorder, and so you started filming the action yourself, and now we can kind of be invited into it all and learn about your journey, because at some point you got into content creation, and like with all creators, what I like to do is go back to the very first video on your channel. I'm not sure if this is the first video you ever uploaded, but this is definitely way back. It's got to be like at least 8 years back or so. It's titled Triggers Down Coast to Coast. This is when you were coaching Triggers Down, I believe. Here's a clip from the video. Tony can show it.
Oh, let's see what this is.
Whatever.
One time, I farted 25 times in a row.
3, 2, 1.
I just missed the last part there. It's supposed to.
I know what that next line is. What that next line.
There it is. Nobody really cared. Yeah. Yeah. Man,
amazing.
I had to get some of the Ola shenanigans stuff in there too. There's so much of Ola just being hilarious in those videos. But man, tell me about these times. Like this is just, I guess you're just kind of filming for fun. It was just, yeah. What was going on at that time?
Yeah, gosh, it really started. There was one specific LAN at Hysteria's house in Washington State, which was the first time I was out there, and yeah, I just kind of threw on back then. If you remember flip cams, remember those?
Yeah, it just pops out the side.
Yeah, the little things that the iPhone like really killed real fast.
Right.
So I just had a flip cam, and yeah, I just kind of started throwing it on, and I don't even know what I had a little bit of video editing experience just from trying to make Halo 2 montages by filming my screen and then using Windows Movie Maker to make like a really shit montage.
I like the little up, like you put text in there, and it would always be funny. Like you put jokes and stuff. How would you do that?
Oh, that would have been, by the time that video was out, that would have been like I was probably in like Premiere CS or earlier. Yeah, so I kind of figured out just on my own how to do titles and really basic stuff. But yeah, I just started throwing it on and like filming the team, because I mean, you look that team, right? Hysteria, Heinz, Ola, SK. We had a blast. So we were really lucky I was really lucky to join that team. We had an amazing just year, and we always had so much fun. And when you have someone like Ola, honestly, the content creates itself. I mean, the things that I have Ola doing on camera, and the things I have Ola doing on camera that haven't been published, there's like. Yeah, so we just had such a great time. So I just kind of threw the camera on through ridiculous shenanigans. And then I remember specifically Ray Lau, who was the pro player manager at MLG. One time we were at this event where SK ended up winning. It was a Halo 3 GameStop event in Manhattan, and SK ended up winning. It was right when ODST came out. He won this Heritage like free for all. They went into this bogus 1v1. It was nationwide, massive tournament, and he ends up winning. But at that event, Ray, the pro player manager, turns to me and he's like, "Hey, that video you made?" And me, I'm like, I don't know, I'm 16 or 17 years old. I'm like, "Oh shit, what is he about to say?" Like, am I, because like we're using triggers down naming. I don't know who owns a triggers down name at that point. All this stuff. So I'm like, "Oh man, I'm gonna be in trouble." He's like, "That video you made?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Keep doing it," because nobody was doing content at that stage. This is early early 09, and nobody was kind of doing team content. I think people were doing montages and things of that nature, some gameplay related stuff, but nobody was doing team content. And I didn't really think of it as team content. I didn't think of it as like sponsored content we could sell. We were just having a good time. So that's kind of how I got into all that. It was nothing that was super deliberate with like an effort to create this or create that. We were just having a good time.
Yeah. And that's just kind of where the fun started, because it seems like things really started to ramp up when you joined the LAN network. And that seems like that was a huge part of your Halo lifestyle. Tell me a bit about this LAN network. What is it for those who don't know? What we're going to do is we're going to play a tour up, and maybe you can try to give a bit of a tour as the tour plays. The quality's kind of shoddy now, but this is a classic tour video.
So this sweet. This is good. There was a few tour videos, so I'm glad you have this one. This is what you saw in the Coast to Coast video was actually the original house that the LAN network took place at. This is what was called the gaming house, which was in the same town in the Chicago suburbs. But I mean, this is pretty great. This is this is quite far into it. We got all the jerseys like framed on the walls. You got all the FB jerseys, everything. And out here, everyone was kind of just chilling. In terms of console esports, this was kind of the first of its kind that we're aware of.
Yeah.
Where you kind of had anywhere from 2 to all the way to, I think we had 8 at one point teams out there. But yeah, this was the HQ downstairs where you're going to see it. It was sweet. This couch was always packed. I'm talking like hip to hip. Everyone's watching scrims. You'll see it in a second, because we had monitors from the, I think it's maybe looping back, but we had monitors from the 2 gaming stations. So 16 kits down there, 2 full stations of an 8 setup, kind of all piped into these TVs. So you could kind of, from a lot of places in the house, just watch the scrims as they went. But yeah, you'll see here's the TVs right here. So you can kind of just watch the scrims all day, all night. I mean,
wow, the
games didn't stop. It was pretty amazing. But yeah, it was great. This is like I said, this is the second house. So by this time, to be honest, a lot of things are streamlined for both. I'd say for both better and for worse. It's less, it's less homey. You can kind of already tell just from the last video you just watched. A lot of that was from the first house, and it was more just like ordering ridiculous orders of Famous Dave's. All these pizzas show up.
Yeah.
I just saw a picture actually on my PC today. I randomly ran across on a hard drive of when I would go with Tots' dad to do the Costco runs. You should have seen. We had to do separate trips because the most we ever had at the house was an 18 land. So that's a minimum 30, 36 with a few coaches, not all coaches. So you got a bunch of, upwards of 40 guys plus his own family there. So we would have to do separate, even with huge vehicles, separate runs at Costco for food. And then we'd go back to Costco sometime that day for like a separate run for drinks.
Right.
So yeah, it was a blast. We were so lucky to be a part of it. It's hard to say, how much it did for all of us, how much it did for all the scene, which is kind of why I made that video right before I left YouTube. Was kind of like my goodbye video because everything at the LAN network was amazing. First of its kind for console stuff, and in many ways the first of its kind. Period. But gosh, it was a great time. I would spend entire summers out there. So would a lot of guys, and I was for most of all of TLN. I was in college full time too. So every weekend I could get out there. I made sure I tried to get either Mondays and Fridays off or worked my schedule in a way that let me travel. But once the summer hit, we would just be out there, and it was a blast. There's actually, I think it's uploaded. People can tweet me if they want to try to find the link, but there actually was a full-blown reality show, not pilot, but trailer shot for TLN by like a professional production team and everything. Oh and God. I only saw it, believe it or not. I couldn't believe it. I only saw that trailer within the past few years. So that's a gem too. But yeah, it was amazing. It essentially was all these pro players, all these best friends just hanging out all the time, playing upwards of sometimes 4 series a day, so like minimum 44 games on sometimes when we were landing. There's a lot of Halo, and in between that, we're just goofing off, having fun, playing, as you saw in the other video, NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, Daytona Racing, just watching movies, watching shows. It was, you couldn't ask for anything more. It was great.
Yeah. So for those who don't really know, or have the context, I guess. So it was one family. It was like Joe Fries and Tots. I don't know how. Is it the Fries, the family, or how would you describe?
I mean I guess they are both two different versions of the potato, but the Pinocchio family.
The Pinocchio family. There you go. Sorry. So Pinocchio family, and then they rented this, or not? They had purchased the house, and it's specifically dedicated to Halo. Like, how is that?
So at first, this was all happening in their own home.
Okay.
The coast to coast clips you saw, like, that is all in their own home. So they are opening their house from anywhere between 12 to 40 plus guys. I mean, just sleeping on every couch you can imagine, every surface. I would sleep in like this little small gym they had on the floor most of the time, because even though the light would come in, I would know no one was gonna like step on me or wake me up, because you can imagine what it's like if like 20 something guys are sleeping in a basement. Granted, we weren't sleeping on top of each other, but it's like the chances of you getting woken up. I mean, you were going to get woken up. Walshy has a great story about how he's sleeping under the NBA Jam machine, and that like 5:30 in the morning, people turn it on and start like slamming the NBA Jam right above his head. So this was like just their own generosity out of the goodness of their hearts. Gina would have her sister come over and other family members come over so they could cook. I mean, you can imagine how much food like 40 guys can eat.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you though, Tony. Put some up in the background, by the way, because I know it would be nice to see some while he talks, and then you can keep it going.
But yeah, this whole preamble is quite long. You could probably skip through this depending on what kind of control you have. But yeah, it's it's amazing to see also where so many of these guys have gone.
Right.
It's amazing to see kind of so many guys are now working in games or streaming or whatever. But yeah, essentially it was. I think I kind of glossed over the fact that it was this amazing kind of just homemade operation of the really good practice, and I think the one of the reasons, now this is certainly not the reason, but it's one of the many reasons that Halo 3 towards the end was so tight and so competitive, was because these top teams, oh man, garbage day and recycling day, what a nightmare it was.
Oh yeah.
Dude. Oh god. Yeah, but I mean, like, it's just stuff like this. Like, it was constantly just like scrims, and at the end of every single LAN, you'd have these like tournaments that it really got you ready for the next tournament. We would do random money 8s, like just all the time, nonstop playing. And it was a blast. I think a lot of the success that there were not teams that were winning events that weren't at these LANs, which I think tells you about the quality of the practice.
Yeah, and this has to really kind of shape your career going forward as well, because it's like the relationships that you're developing with these people. Like there's Ninja hanging out in here also. Like some of the biggest personalities in esports are just chilling here, having fun. You're developing relationships with these people, and then from there, bigger opportunities seem to arise. Is that kind of how you felt? Like it was like
to be honest, for you? Yeah, but before any of this, like we were all just like best friends. So this was like all the video and all the network, if you will. And all the video and all that, it's all just really byproducts of like kind of what we had already been doing for so many years.
Okay.
So I never really thought of this as like pivotal to my career, if you will. I kind of just thought there's nowhere else I wanted to be. I just want to be hanging out with all these guys. And it's still the case. Like anytime, for example, I can't tell you how many times I talked to Walsh on the phone these past 2 weeks. I was on the phone with Side only 2 days ago. And it's the same with the guys now, right? I was on the phone with Onset. Right. I was on the phone with Onset today. So I think we're at the end of the day, we're all just, really, really good friends that love Halo, that love games. And I think we've been really lucky that a lot of cool things like this have come out of it.
Yeah. Damn, dude, that's awesome. And I love that video too. You guys should definitely check out the full video. It's like, I think at least 25 minutes long. It just kind of gives you, it's like a documentary, which we need a lot more of that content in Halo. It really builds out the personalities of players and whatnot. So that's one of the best kind of historical pieces to check out if you guys haven't seen it. Yeah, no problem. So eventually the LAN network did split up, and you continue to produce content for Halo. Halo 4 was about to arrive, and you're hanging out with Walshy. Like you said, you guys are calling each other and stuff on a regular basis. You were hanging out and producing content together. You also were one of the first people to play the game as well, and we'll play up some footage in the background of you playing just some early access Halo 4. Mm-hmm. So what was happening in your career at this point? Because was this when you were most focused on the YouTube channel, and you're kind of working at Gamers Outreach at the same time, I believe?
Yeah, I was doing some PR stuff for Gamers Outreach for Zach. He and I have known each other for a long time. This is going to be RTX 2012. So timing on that is like early July 2012. So what made me go to casting and content creation was really, I think I eventually, we did really well with Triggers Down. We won a few events, and I think towards the end when we were towards the end of my coaching, we were, I think, we were placing anywhere from top 4 to top 12, et cetera. And I kind of realized, like, I think I had a real chance to kind of do something on my own. And it was pretty stressful, having done 5 years of coaching at a pretty high level, knowing that essentially my entire, not just like my morale, my stress, et cetera, but like my livelihood depended on how well my team did at the event, right?
Yeah.
So I'm finishing out school. I graduated in 2012 as well. So I was finishing out school, and I was like, I really can't let, as much as I enjoyed coaching and as much as I love the ups and the downs, and coaching 44 games a day at Lance is very different than playing. When you're playing, you can really get into the moment.
Sure.
It's easy to just be like, holy crap, when you're on game, 36 of 44 and like you're trying to stay zoned. So, the reason I bring all that up is just it was a lot of time, a lot of prep work. So I kind of wanted to move into something, I loved everything about Halo. I loved everything about games, and I wanted to keep working in that. The community is the reason I've stayed in Halo for so long.
Right.
But I wanted to do something on my own. So that's where I kind of looked to YouTube and then casting as like the two areas I could focus and see what I could build there. And I had a little bit of YouTube stuff from the team content I had done. So I think I had like a few hundred subscribers on YouTube that I kind of got without ever having a plan. So then I went just all in right around, I'd say right when Halo CE Anniversary came out. So end of Reach, a little bit before, because I was doing a lot of Reach videos. And one of the reasons that I kind of went to YouTube and casting as well is I was very lucky to be in a position where for the past 5 years, I had been surrounded by pro players at Scrim. So whenever I was playing, I was lucky to be playing with them online or at LANs. And whenever I was watching Halo, it was with them. And whenever I was talking about Halo, it was with them. So I realized over time. It didn't hit me right away. That my understanding of competitive Halo and the way I approached the game and like the do's and the don'ts and the absolute rules, things like that, all came. I was so lucky to have it come from these teams that I had that we figured all these strategies out with. So like stupid little things about like knowing that in a 2v2 on lockout, right, you never want to be standing on a place like open ramp, like these little nuanced rules that are all in my head, that they had value as a coach, and then but that also translated pretty well to casting and YouTube. Right. So yeah, and then I kind of went for it. I went really, especially when I was about to graduate from college. I just wanted to do, I wanted to get real ambitious. There was a while where I was doing a video every single day, and I remember just staying at my laptop until whatever it was, 4 or 5 in the morning, sleeping a few hours, roll out of bed, back onto the laptop, and just like recording, editing, everything nonstop all the time. And and that's also kind of the same time that I met. Like I was really inspired by Jericho, T. Martin, and those guys, and that they were building empires on YouTube, and they were, they're grinding, and I just thought it was awesome. I thought it was cool, and I wanted to create something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, you're kind of lucky to be surrounded with pros, and you're always kind of thinking of the game on that level, and that came in handy for the casting. But you definitely have the voice and the personality for it too, and that kind of just comes naturally, I guess. But there was this Halo 4 video that you did where you're kind of breaking down the weapons in a trailer. Tony, if you can show,
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, Tony, show a quick clip of that. I like that one. It was funny.
Hey, what's up guys, this is Bravo, and today I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on in the brand new Halo 4 UNSC weapons video. Fade to black, beginning of transmission, STDs, unnecessarily close, beautiful weapon, dramatic lighting, flickering light bulb, somebody fix that. Longbow, big map, aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, red guy, top base with a turret, does not give a fuck. Next, blue lasers out of nowhere, assault rifle, spray and pray, comeback kill T2, give him the backpack, more spray and kill catastrophe. Magnum next, more blue lasers, bang bang, headshot, zoom, bang bang, donkey punch, bang, green smoke, bang, pistol whip. And battle rifles back, lasers, 3-shot burst, double kill, headshots all day. DMR, more lasers, single shot, beam me up, Scotty, holy missing shots, that guy sucks, win the long range battle, falcon punch, turret guy, flashing HUD, can't see shit.
It could be, we could be suffering through the whole thing.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, so I gotta give I do it in the video as well, but I gotta give a huge shout out to Jericho, because that style comes from he's the godfather of the trailer breakdown in that style. So that's totally an homage to Jericho, how he did some of the Call of Duty trailers. But yeah, we had fun with it, and I talked to him before I put that out, but yeah, those were fun.
Yeah. And then did that kind of lead into the casting a bit? Because then you had, and I don't know if this is the first time you were casting or if this is kind of along the journey, but you had an opportunity to cast with Golden Boy at the Halo 4 Global Championship, which is a really big event at the time. We'll show a quick clip of that as well, and then we'll talk about it a bit.
Sure.
Indeed. It looks like we're about to get this game underway right now, so let's cue the dramatic music. Oh, boy.
Okay. I wasn't sure what we were going to get there, but we'll play it in the background as well. I know Tony has a clip of you guys at the desk. Most of it is your voiceover commentary, so it's hard to kind of, showcase that without the audio, but there we go. Some more, desk work with you. So yeah, tell me about it. That kind of transitioned you over to casting. When did the casting start happening?
Yeah, sure. The casting started, casting was an overlap as happened with a few people. The casting was an overlap with the coaching, because I would grab Puckett backstage at Reach events and just ask if he needed someone to jump in the booth. So there was times where I was casting with Gandhi and Puckett or Shockwave and Puckett, and we were able to kind of do a series here and there. Whenever we had a series off, as long as we were in winner's bracket, I would try to run up there and get in on a series. And then actually Golden Boy and I casted before this at an MLG event. I don't know if it was Providence or where it might have been, but all in 2011, 2012. So I had a few times on the desk, which is funny because MLG did a casting call late Halo 2, and they put up a sample videos of quad split gameplay 4.
Okay.
And you had to submit a casting reel over it and send it in. And I would love to know where mine is now, because I submitted one and I'm sure it was god awful. This is probably 2000.
That's what I need to find and showcase.
Probably 2007. But so I had done a fair bit by then. had never casted a full event, I don't think, but I had a lot of games and series under my belt. But the Halo 4 Global Championship is a pretty special event for Golden Boy and I, and a lot of people that worked on it. It was at the time. I mean, we were really proud of what the product was. I think there were certainly challenges with it. It broke a lot of convention. Right, it's a free-for-all tournament that had a crazy online qualifier. The tournament had very specific goals for Xbox.
Right.
But we were really lucky to have a crazy talented team that put on that show, and that was kind of my first foray into big budget esports. And we were, at the time, Riot had only done about 1 or 2 of their big shows, and we were really happy with kind of how that event sat for a very, very brief time, kind of in the global esports landscape. That was an event that was probably I look back on it fondly, but it was probably the most stressful time of my life. I joined 343 in late November 2012, and I started working on that tournament in January.
Oh my God, yeah.
And yeah, there wasn't a big team that worked on the development of that tournament. I remember just grinding. So I remember the exact soundtrack that I was listening to on Spotify, the exact playlist, like for months and months, getting this tournament ready. And I remember the online component of the Halo 4 Global Championship was the easiest way to say it is it was complicated and not ideal, but it served its purpose. So you played online, and to allow for like disconnects and like wonkiness, there was a few games you could lose that would get killed off so we'd shave like the worst stats from your record. So that would say give you 3 disconnects a week or something like that. So that, like, because online isn't perfect, we tried to build all these different things in. And granted, they weren't perfect, but in some ways, some aspects were worked pretty well. But I remember watching Dursky stream Halo 4, and I saw people quitting from games, which triggered. I realized that there was a clause like in Halo 4's like multiplayer back end that if the game detected a lot of if you were host and a lot of people were quitting, I'm talking a ton in a short period, it flagged it as like host bridging and knocking people offline, which makes sense. It was like 60 if 60 an hour quit or something while you have hosts, you are likely cheating. But because a tournament like the Halo 4 Global Championship creates non-normal player behavior, I realized in my head that he was going to get like knocked off. He was going to get banned from like matchmaking because he was going to hit a flag. So I remember like sending some emails and making some phone calls like 3 a.m. because I was pretty sure it was going to happen. And like the next day, like whoever was head of like the services team like came down to me and was like, "Hey, you shouldn't be waking up my engineers in the middle of the night because this is that." But I don't regret it at all. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I didn't mind waking people up in the middle of the night. But it was kind of stuff like that. Yeah. It was kind of stuff like that, and then also just designing the whole tournament. I worked with someone who's at Xbox now. She's been at Xbox a long time. Her name's Tina Summerford. She was executive producer of the show. She put that entire stage design. She had a team working on that. We had that tournament was also directed by the same guy. His name's Rick 14, who did the international for Dota. A lot of the TIs for Dota, he does them. So we were so lucky to have Rick. He kind of we had the same exact satellite truck that does the international pull into the back of Benaroya Hall in Seattle. We had no idea if no one was going to, this thing was at PAX Prime. We had no idea if anyone was going to come. Obviously we advertised it. We
production value was insane. Like it was pretty amazing going back and watching it. Like there were like all these like stair shots and like in different unique interviews and stuff. It's kind of like almost before its time. Like now we have stuff like this today. But,
yeah, we loved it. We were lucky to have such an amazing crew. But Alex and I had a great time. I was so stressed. Like there was so much going on in my life, and we had to wing it. I remember they had teleprompters built for us into those screens, and they just said ad lib. They didn't actually say because the show didn't, like any esports show these days that's not a 2-hour show for TBS or whatever.
Right.
There is no teleprompter. We just do the show. So Alex, it was pretty nerve-wracking, but Alex and I look back on that show really fondly. I mean, obviously it was pretty amazing to also have, an Ace and Pistola final, the fact that it went down to Mexico wins, the whole thing. It was a blast, and certainly wasn't perfect. The format, the show, all that stuff, there was big learnings that came out of it. Even there's Halo and Xbox didn't do a show like it after because there was a lot of key learnings. But at the time, it was a blast. We loved doing that show.
So yeah, so I mean, it sounds like a huge undertaking just from what you've been saying. Like you're waking up, getting up at 3 a.m. trying to, fix things and make sure everything's working correctly. And this is when you're already working for Halo 3. So what I want, or sorry, for 343, my bad. Let's take a step back for a second, kind of figure out, how you got there. So you're producing content on a regular basis. You're getting bigger. Halo 4 is about to land. Almost immediately after the release of Halo 4 came your opportunity at 343. And to kind of lead into the discussion, I want to showcase this video. It's the Season 2 update. I loved this video. Really well done, and we'll just play about a minute of it or so if Tony can show it.
Hi there, I'm Andy Bravo-Dadinsky, and this is another Halo Championship Series update. Season 2 of the HCS has come to a close, and with it, we've seen a fantastic series of online and LAN tournaments, plus the high-stakes Season 2 finals from ESL. There, the top 8 teams with the most HCS points battled it out for their share of our biggest prize pool yet, $150,000. While the prize money is always a nice incentive, most teams were simply determined to take down the Season 1 champs and the team that dominated the entirety of Season 2, Evil Geniuses. But despite all efforts, including a stellar attempt in the grand finals from Counter Logic Gaming, EG's rule over the HCS could not be undone. Snipe down.
An incredible video, and that's just kind of a small sliver of what you did when you were at 343. So I guess tell me a bit about the role. How did you get the job? And then maybe we can talk a bit about that video too.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, when to get back to kind of where we were when we were talking about Halo 4 is on the horizon and I'm working on YouTube. Yeah, I was really lucky. Actually, there's the huge cascading effect from one specific moment in that year. I was at the Gunner booth at PAX East 2012, so we're talking like March, and Duststorm, who does Podtacular and a lot of Halo community work, swings by the booth, and we're playing like Halo. We had Halo CE Anniversary, Reach multiplayer, just like playable at our booth, so we're just kind of playing with people. And he mentions to me that he's like, BS Angel is here, who at the time was the community manager for Halo, who I had begun following, for quite a while as the Halo 4 train kind of started to build. And I was like, okay, cool, bring her over here. And so I met Jess, and we had a really quick conversation. But after that, got invited to the next event after that was definitely E3 in June. So I got invited to kind of like the press event at E3, and then that led to the press event at RTX, which led to San Diego Comic-Con, which led to PAX Prime. So in this events, the whole Halo 4 press tour. So I ended up in a really natural way meeting all these people that were at 343 working on the game, and I was just there with one agenda, right, to get my YouTube content. I was setting up, I was working like for PAX Prime. I was working at one sponsor booth for this team that I was helping, but like during any downtime, I'd run down to like the next level. At the Halo 4 booth, truly set up a DSLR, point it at the screen, and me and Hysteri would play some games, and I'd get that gameplay footage. And then I remember, like for example, at E3, the Walshy video was uploaded at the Hooters across from the LA Convention Center, and I'm like praying that Hooters Wi-Fi will let me upload this video. So I was at these events with one goal, was to just have the best Halo channel on YouTube, and to
it did actually pay. Sorry to interrupt. It did pay off a bit too, though, because the armor customization video is your most viewed video. It's got like 555,000 views from you going through the armor at a pre Halo 4 event.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like a lot of that that early content, just the stuff we're showing off. I think a lot of people want, myself included, just wanted to see what was packed into Halo 4. So I got really lucky.
Yeah.
It was also before studios were really intentionally thinking of how to of an influencer strategy. So I was lucky that I would just kind of say, "Hey, can I film this?" And then I'd email a PR guy at that time, Rob Sempsey, who's still with 343, and I'd say, "Hey, what's fair game, what's not?" And we would go from there. Mm-hmm. So I was just 100% focused on YouTube and kind of thinking about how I can really just cover the news of the game, and I was just as excited as everybody else was about what Halo 4 is going to look like. And then it was right around the end of PAX Prime. So this is now September of 2012, where a few people from 343 they approached me. They asked me if I wanted to join the studio, and at first I wasn't sure. Because I'm just like sleeping on friends' couches. I'm like, you know, at the time neighbor was in West Hollywood, so I'd spend some time at his place. We'd like make some videos. And yeah, I thought like long and hard about it, because I was not making any sort of money on YouTube.
Right.
I could have been if I wasn't like in a terrible contract that I was in. But once again, YouTube was never for. I wasn't even really using YouTube as a way to make ends meet. I was just kind of doing it because I loved it.
Right.
And it was fun. And like I said, I could roll out of bed every day and see what the reaction is to the work I had done, and then get started on something new. And there's not a lot of things that I had done that were that way. But yeah, eventually talked to him more, interviewed, and then I decided it was. And then at that point, it became a little bit financially based, because, like I said, YouTube was not paying the bills, and I had just finished school and I needed to figure out what I wanted to do next.
Right.
A lot of at that time there were not a lot of people that I knew in Seattle. Luckily, a lot of the guys did come out that way. I was like, I'll pack up my stuff and move across the country and work on Halo. So yeah.
Damn. So, and then as far as once you got the job, you had two separate roles. So you were a producer, I think, starting out, and then you became community manager. So I guess maybe tell me a bit about the role and responsibilities. We can play a bit of the video in the background as well, Tony, the HCS Season 2 update. But yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. So yeah, when I first got there, it was really a community producer role. A little bit of like sustained multiplayer production. So essentially, after the few weeks of playlists, there wasn't a huge plan, just because they had enough programming built out for the first bit, but they wanted to kind of figure out where Halo multiplayer for Halo 4, like what kind of tweaks should be made. So things like getting a competitive doubles playlist out, working on the first kind of what was eventually called Legendary Slayer, but getting a little bit of that out. But a lot of it was, almost all my work was kind of community production. So working with forgers on what kind of forge content should go in the game and things like that. And a lot of just kind of community producing for events and community events and things of that nature. And then, eventually the opportunity came up for community manager, which, is a promotion of sorts. But eventually, I took that gig, and then that, was a lot of fun. It was also really hard. It was a good time for me to take that opportunity, because there's so much overlap between community and esports, that a lot of what I did in the community manager role was esports related, because it was right around the time that the beginnings of HCS were starting. So that was kind of a large bulk of my work in the CM role. That was a lot of my kind of job, but I'd say I had so much more community work to do that, we ended up, everyone on the community team works crazy hours. Yeah. And I think by choice. No one, everyone's kind of there. Everyone's there early, and everyone's there until pretty late in the evening. Even if it's 9 p.m. and we're just playing some games together. Back when I was on the team. But yeah, I was lucky. There was a lot of overlap there, and then eventually kind of stopped working on esports as much, and my last role there was as a senior producer on the team. But yeah, it exposed me to so much in games, to so much in esports. I learned a lot there. There's so many great guys and girls there. It's hard to even kind of try to put into words how many opportunities I had over there. But yeah.
I can imagine. And there's I just have like a list of so many things that you've done, like along with the writer of the Halo Bulletin as well, that kind of transitioned into the weekly, or I guess is it monthly? You get the updates on Halo Waypoint.
Yeah, they were weekly, man. They're
long
funny
too.
Is people always, a lot of the people I was working with, including my manager at the time, was like, these don't have to be 5,000 words every week. And I was like, I know,
right.
but I also felt like, I don't know. I just didn't. Yeah, there was something. I was lucky that there was so much Halo news to cover during the majority of my time there. There were certainly dull periods, but I think there's so much to cover in terms of Halo community stuff at all times, and then forget it. If it's like new developer content, then you can just go in. But yeah, I was never able to get the community updates or the bulletins shorter. I just wasn't. They were. I woke up. What I would do, because I'm really good at working under pressure, or I should say, I guess the correct phrase is I'm only good at working under pressure.
That's kind of how I am too.
Yeah. To say that I'm really good at working under pressure is not fair to people who actually are. I'm just only good at working under pressure.
Or it's the only way you work in general is just under pressure. It's hard to do anything if it's not. Yeah.
I would for these Friday updates, I'd often wake up on Friday at like 5:30 in the morning, and then I'd publish them at like 7 p.m. And sometimes that was at like tournament Fridays. So I have not so fond memories of in between casting Halo series. I'd pull out my laptop and finish the update like at a random tournament backstage somewhere. Yeah.
Jeez. And of course, during that time, you also were communicating with Reddit like on a regular basis, and it seems like you developed a bit of an identity there as well. It's called Barvo. Can you tell me what the heck Barvo is, guys? Check this out. These are images of a helmet constructed, and what is this exactly?
I mean, you're asking the wrong guy. This is a
Well, first of all, what the heck are you wearing in that picture in the bottom right corner? You got like gunners.
Right? Come on, that's the full. I've got gunners and just A40s and a really ugly white snapback. That's about it. But yeah, someone kind of drafted it into a helmet design that maybe we'll see in a future Halo game. But yeah, I mean, Barvo just became this like uncontrollable. I mean, the short story is that someone one time mistyped Bravo, and then like, you know how Reddit can take something and run with it. Right. So then like a lot of really good nicknames spawned off of that. But yeah, I think Reddit is a really great place for things like community engaging with kind of a community around a game. It's like it's just really easy to get kind of really quick questions and really quick answers, and make sure that people kind of saw the work that we were doing. So it just was a really, it's more effective than a traditional forum format. It's obviously more effective than PMs. It's like, I think just the format of the website lent itself, and obviously there's quite a strong Halo presence. Also, the mods over there are pretty great. I'd say there was always on Reddit like a good mix of critical discussion, negative discussion, and then also things that were being celebrated. So it kind of made sense to spend time there and just learn about what the biggest pain points, what was going well, and things of that nature. And yeah, it was definitely I really enjoyed like just engaging with the Reddit community the whole time that I was in the role.
Yeah, even if you're like looking to be a bigger part of the Halo community or like join join 343, it seems like it sets a great precedent for you. Like I was talking with Unishek a couple weeks ago, and Halo Reddit is kind of where he really established himself. It was like the combination of Reddit and YouTube and just going to the events that was really kind of like the whole trifecta that got him into 343. Like it seems like it's a very important part of that. As far as the Barvo helmet goes, it looks like somebody actually designed it in real life, and there's an image of that as well.
Oh, this is amazing. This was amazing. So this is in Southern California at an event, and I was like blown away by the guys from the 405th who had put this helmet together. And I was lucky to receive a few helmets when I was at 343. I left all of them in the Halo Museum at 343 except for the Barvo helmet. That thing is sweet. I was blown away, and it has like light up LED. It's got hex in the goggles. It's like the visor rather. It's incredible.
Damn, dude, that's unbelievable. Okay, so I mean, all the work you did at 343, eventually it kind of came to a close. You did exit the role almost exactly a year ago. Now it was May 30th that you have the tweet
almost,
there. So
almost to the day. June 1st is my last day, so it's pretty wild. We're almost at exactly 1 year today.
Yeah. So, I mean, since then you've continued casting, so you haven't really disappeared. You've still been around. But I know you've also been traveling. You've been working on other projects. So my question is, who are you today?
Oh, gosh.
Tough question.
Who am I today?
Maybe. Who are you? Who's Bravo?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Aren't we all?
Let's see. Yeah, I'd say the things that I have my focused attention and that I'm focusing my attention on the most right now are casting and working on a few different games. Obviously, Halo is still a huge part of that.
Right.
Just did South by Southwest, and we'll talk about Halo Outpost as well. But I'd say that's kind of where a lot of my energy is going. I'm also working on a project that I haven't announced yet, which I'm really excited about.
Nice.
Trying to move pretty quick on it. I've got a few people that I'm jamming on it with, and it's in games, so I'm really excited to talk about it when it's ready for the world. And then other than that, like I said, slowing down the travel a bit. I spent the last year I've been on the road a lot.
Right.
And it's been a blast, and I plan on continuing to travel. I've seen some amazing places. And I definitely want to travel more, but right now I'm kind of hunkered down into those two. I've got I'll be at E3 next month.
Yep.
Really excited about that, and a few more gaming events through the summer. As I said, other than that, the biggest things that are different in terms of leaving Xbox, leaving 343, really trying to, it's easy when you're, especially when it's a blessing and a curse to be working on a game like Halo. I should also caveat and say I'd have it no other way. I only want to work on things that I'm that passionate about. But obviously, I was every single day for almost 6 years. I was spending pretty crazy hours at the office or on the road for the game, and I wouldn't change that at all. If I were to do it all again, or if I were to join the studio again, I would do the same exact thing. And I think that the same can be said for a lot of the guys there. Right. Grim, Uni, Sketch, Tashi. We were a crew that was there. Till so late in the evenings, on weekends, etc., because the game means so much to us. So I think since having a chance to, and that's kind of the only way that a lot of us can work on a game like Halo, I think, because it means so much to us. So now that I've had a chance to step back, I think kind of just, making sure that I'm healthy, kind of getting all sorts of different things right in my life, making sure things are balanced, that even though I'm so excited about these new projects I'm working on, that I'm also balancing that, and that
right.
I do things like when I spend 8 hours straight working from a cafe, that I don't bring my laptop charger, so that I know that when the laptop actually dies, I will actually stop working.
Wow.
Things like that make sure that I don't spend too much time working, because it's easy to it's easy to, especially I did the same thing when I was doing YouTube too, right? It's easy to just work every minute, and there's a time and a place for that, but also trying to just maintain the right balance. Right. And then see kind of what's next. It's obviously an exciting time for Halo, for games, for esports. I think these next few years are going to be really exciting, but also you can assume pretty different from the last few as well. So I'm excited to see where those go, where those might take me, and where they take the whole Halo community. I mean, we should talk about E3 too, but since I know just as little as everyone else, which is exciting. Yeah? I'm telling you, which is exciting. So we will see where we go from here.
Yeah. And I mean, so it sounds like you have a lot going on. I'm excited about whatever that project is that you haven't announced yet, that you're going to be announcing soon. And like you said, you're still casting, you're still part of these events. And before we talk about Dallas and then E3, I know I've asked you like a million questions at this point. But South by Southwest, I really enjoyed. And that was one of the recent events that you did. And myself, many others loved this grassroots style that the event had. And I mean, we showed in the pre-roll the therapy with Snipe Down Lethal. I want to know, like, where are these ideas coming from? Is it like, are you helping out with that? And what do you think about this content? Does it really add value to HCS to have all these, these different type of grassroots initiatives, unique content?
Sure. Yeah. I can't take any credit for these pieces in the content that was at South by Southwest. A lot of this came from...
Got to take credit for this performance here, though. This is unreal.
I mean, we just we winged it. The best... I wish people could see how... First of all, there were some moments during this thing. I don't know if you could feel it when you watch it, but the energy got really weird in the room. Like, people weren't... there was a really talented team that did these content pieces, and they came up to me afterwards. They were like, so wait, do they hate each other? Like, I can't tell what's going on here. And they were like, they actually said they felt like uncomfortable, which was great. But yeah, all credit has to go to Tashi and the HCS team, and then the content team over there. Tashi's the one who brought this idea to me, and asked if I wanted a little bit before the event. Actually, he brought it to me quite a while before the event, and then we spoke about it again, and he kind of gave me just the idea of what he wanted that piece to be. And then we just kind of winged it. And I will say, Eric and TJ delivered a great performance. It was funny too because there was times when I was asking questions and they were answering. I couldn't tell how serious they were either.
Yeah.
I wish people could see their demeanor. I won't spoil it, but I wish people could see their demeanor right after the interview. I think telling you what it was like would remove some of the magic of the piece. But it was pretty special to be part of it. But to kind of answer the second part of your question, I think content like that, it's great. I've probably gotten more comments on that piece. Granted, once again, not my brainchild, but just because I happen to be featured in the piece. Mm-hmm. I've probably gotten more comments on that, both in person and like on Twitter, than we have in a long time. So I think that is pretty telling. That's the kind of stuff that people want to see. And I absolutely think Tashi and team, based on just our quick conversations afterwards, and the whole team over there, I think they're aware of just how much that moves the needle. And I think people, it's amazing to see people racking up multi-kills and insane plays in a tournament. But I think it's a whole. There's so much value in people really just wanting to get to know these players more and seeing more than just them leaning forward into a monitor and competing.
Yeah, building out their personality and even kind of taking a step back from the kind of overly professional like suits and stuff that you would always see in your esports events. You guys are rocking like matching sweaters. Tony, there's the video on Twitter as well. This right here. I don't know if we can play the actual video. There we go.
Yeah, this is sweet. The best part about this is that Onset bought that sweater. These are not cheap sweaters, right? South by Southwest is a pretty premium event. So Onset goes and buys this sweater for $50, and then South by Southwest like gaming team comes over and they like give us like a few more free ones. And he's like, "Wait a minute, I just paid $50 for this," and they're like, "Eh, sorry."
Oh my god!
But yeah, that South by Southwest was a great event, and I'm so glad it turned out the way it did because it was very intentionally a departure from your standard kind of event that we had done and we had seen from the past few years. I mean, we haven't even talked about it yet, but running an 8v8 big team battle where I have 16 screens in front of us and just kind of, I think we can't wait to do more of that as casters. I think in whatever way it manifests, whether it's in Classic Halo, whether it's in future titles, I think the opportunity to just have a blast with, stuff like that, I think has been missing from a lot of the shows that we've done, and just having like over the top fun where you can't stop laughing and highlighting. And what's amazing is none of it is it's not only is it not forced, but it's not even programmed, right? No one was like, this is how enjoyable 8v8 Valhalla CTF is going to be. That's just Halo's natural gameplay moments coming out on stream, right? It's not like we didn't have to think at all for 1 minute about how do we want this to look or feel or in terms of the gameplay itself, because that's when you just have 8v8, really any BTB match across Halo 1, 2, or 3, you're going to get this ridiculous outcome. It feels like you're in a living room watching this crazy LAN party, which is kind of how it ended up being. So we were so happy with the 343 had that vision and kind of brought it to us.
Yeah, unbelievable. And hopefully we see a lot more of it. Do you have any idea whether or not that's going to continue in any way in DreamHack Dallas? I know it's a very different event, probably harder to have this.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't be there. I have no idea if there's any plans for that type of stuff. I certainly hope so. I think even if it's just goofy 1v1s, etc., there's so many aspects of Halo that aren't even that much of a right. These are not in super stark contrast to the competitive matches you'll be watching. Granted, you can watch a match like that, and then even that evening or the next day, watch a match where Snipedown is competing for a large sum of money with his team. But at the end of the day, right, you're either watching CTF or you're watching Slayer, and I think there's a real overlap that maybe has been overlooked in terms of how much there's the same audience that wants to see something like a 4v4 MIDI CTF is also going to get a huge kick out of a COAG CTF because we've all played hours of both. So I think there's a lot of overlap and a lot of goodness that can come from getting the right mix of personalities on stage and having them play any sort of Halo multiplayer. You can just end up with magic, and that's the beauty. That's not That's not us. That's not the production team. That's the game. That is the game kind of shining.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like I said, hopefully we see more. I'm not sure what DreamHack Dallas will hold, but I mean, if they've got anything like that, or even like a sticky challenge or something like that, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Little dodgeball on Zanzibar.
Right. That'd be sick. They got to do that. So yeah. Now you're not actually making it to DreamHack Dallas though. Any reason why you can't make it?
Yeah, Grandpa is turning 91, and I'm home, so I'm gonna I'm gonna be at home with the family to celebrate his birthday. That's the only reason. But and then after that, I'm right back on the road right away for E3. But yeah, gonna be just hanging at home with family.
That's fair. Like you said, you have so many big events planned immediately after too, like E3 and then Outpost Discovery as well. So you've got a lot going on. Now, DreamHack Dallas, as far as the event goes, we've got some crazy roster changes last minute. We have a whole variety of teams attending. Of course, you still have Talks and Reciprocity, which have stayed constant, and they're still amazing teams. But as far as what we have now, and I think Matty might have sent you some of the teams.
Well, there's one team I'm specifically looking at.
Yeah, what are you looking at?
And that's the Ace Neighbor Frosty Eco.
Right.
Which is the first team because I saw Mason's tweets about looking for a coach, and it's the first time I've considered if I didn't have a conflict with family. It's the first time I've thought even though I thought about for a moment. I was like, oh man, it would be a blast to coach that team and to I've coached Neighbor on a bunch of different rosters, both Final Boss and Triggers Down. So I'm really excited to see what those guys can do. A lot of talent there, and it might be the kind of structure that Mason will really thrive in, because when I think you have that kind of consistency and slaying dominance, if Neighbor has the right teammates in Halo 3, he could do disgusting things, and I think those are three pretty. I don't know if you can ask for more consistent teammates than those three guys.
Yeah.
So that'll be pretty great for them. Other than that, of course, I'm looking forward to seeing the next chapter in the Talks Reciprocity saga. But other than that, I'd say there's two specific Halo 3 players that I've been keeping an eye on, and people who have watched a lot of the matches that I've cast will probably be too familiar with how much I talk about them. But it's Demon D. I think not only is he back in top form, but right. I think he's even more mature than he was when he was competing, and he's now playing at such a high level. And just game after game, you're watching him make amazing plays. And even where you have a game like Halo 3, where the skill, there's a high skill ceiling, but the skill gap at the tip top is not huge. You still see him making amazing plays and outplaying folks.
Right.
And the other one that I'm not giving up on because he just won't let me is Gilkey. The way that Gilkey was he was a pro player in Halo 3. You saw him hovering around top 6 to top 12 to sometimes a lesser of a placing. But he's a guy who was always at the LAN network playing with some of the best players. And I'm telling you, whenever I watch Gilkey's play, he's squeaking out kills that he shouldn't be squeaking out. He's making really strong plays. And it's not just like Gilkey's playing well. It's that I think once Gilkey finds the right set of teammates, for as long as Halo 3 events run, I think you're going to see him continuing to play better and better. So I'd say those are kind of my two players to really keep a close eye on in terms of the way that they're playing the game.
Okay, pretty good picks. And I know Demon D kind of came out of nowhere in Halo 5, like towards the latter half. He just started to become one of the top players. And yeah, like you said, he was a good pro back in Halo 3. I'm not sure how long he was I don't know if he was inactive for a little while, and then he jumped into Halo 5, and recently he's just been killing it.
I don't know what he was doing either. I have no idea.
Yeah, because he just came out of nowhere all of a sudden. Yeah. But this is interesting because if you think back to Halo 5 towards the end of competition, you kind of knew what the best teams were. You could almost rank it like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, like down to 10 practically. In this one, I have no idea, man. Like I'm looking at Infinite, and I've got Bubadubashati, Tusk, and Fallicated, which are amazing players, and they're all wild cards.
Huge. I was gonna say that's the wild card to end all wild cards. I have no idea where they're going to fall. They
have the top points as well, though that's not the ultimate scoreline that we're worried about here. But yeah, like these are amazing players. You've got Frosty, like the team that you brought up with Ace Neighbor, Frosty Eco, also massive wild card team. Frosty's kind of been focusing on Call of Duty, but always a top consistent player. So we're expecting big things. And then you had Trippy and Penguin, who are amazing, that split off into their own teams. And you said Gilkey, one of the top performers, Gilkey, Rain, Landward, and Penguin. That's a big team right there. You've got, and then you had Trippy, who we don't really know where he's gone, but if he's on GMS with Zerka, like GMS was a top performing squad all the way up until now, and they've made some slight changes, but you still have Gabriel, you still have Fantasy, and this is one of the best duos in Halo 3. So I'm seeing like 6 squads that could all contend in like top 3 or at least. So it's pretty, even Denial with Demon D, that's Shelly, Straight Sick, Ares, and Demon D. That's a really good squad. Like it's pretty incredible to see. Yeah,
it really is. And I think the point you made is great, because I think there was a lot of conclusions that could have been drawn going into Halo 5 events. People had a really good idea of what to expect in Halo 5, and it really didn't kind of break off of that expectation too often. Whereas I feel like all the Halo 3 events that we've been seeing, the games have been so tight. You really haven't been able to pick which team's going to come out on top. And even when you think you can, there's been a lot of surprises. And I think this weekend coming up should really be no exception.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, guys, I know that we are getting towards the end of the interview. We have our Q&A coming up as well. If you guys are listening to the discussion, you have anything you want to weigh in or questions that you have for Bravo related to this or anything else, feel free to start asking those questions in the chat. I know Tony's already been collecting them, and we will ask them as soon as we're done chatting here. But yeah, obviously, so DreamHack Dallas looks pretty unreal, like just the competition. We have no idea really what to expect, and this is a new occurrence. It's nice to see because, like you said, yeah, Halo 5, you can kind of predict the outcome. And a lot's been changing recently. So following that, of course, we'll have E3. The biggest thing I wanted to know was, what do you think for 343 would have to showcase at E3 to have a successful press conference, let's say? Because people want big things, what's the minimum, I guess, that they would need to have where people walk away and be like, okay, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this.
Jeez, that's a tough question.
What do you got?
Let's see. So I guess... Oh man, I mean, I guess what I want to see is, rather not see, but me as a Halo fan, I want to walk away really, in short, being surprised, right? I want to see some stuff that is undeniably Halo, that really starts to blow my mind, right? So whatever form that takes, I want to walk away from whatever the E3 presence is, and just thinking to myself, I need to be part of that, right? I want to come away from E3, whether it's big, small. Like I said, I truly don't know what's coming this E3 or before it or after it or anything like that. But I just want to come away, and I think the whole community does, with something that they can't wait to either play or see more of or learn more about. I think. I still keep a pretty close eye on kind of the sentiment and the general vibe of the community. And I think people are ready to be surprised and come away saying, holy shit. So I think that's quite broad. Do I want to see gameplay? Of course I want to see gameplay. Right. I have no idea if we're going to see gameplay. I definitely want to see, I'd say even if it's something that's teasy, just kind of something that really gets me excited for the next chapter. Something that I think, I think when you look at previous titles, if you look at kind of the things that I looked forward to or the hype that was around Halo 2, even small things like collateral damage on maps, when they kind of announced that like maps were going to be able to decay and pillars could come down. And
that would be cool.
So I guess kind of using that not as a specific thing I want to see in the game, but more so that was something where I was like, oh man, Halo 2 has this feature and I'm excited about it. Or if you look at any of the Halo 3 pre-release trailers, right? I mean, the hype is crazy off the charts. So I think whatever form it comes in is essentially to be surprised. Would be I think would be great.
And yeah, just kind of to that point, like an interesting way to evolve the game rather than changing mechanics is kind of changing the environment around the player, right? Which is kind of what you're alluding to. And I wonder if they could do creative things in that space and if that could kind of revolutionize the game. But the biggest thing was like keeping it authentically Halo, like you said, is like seeing and walking away from experience and thinking that was Halo. So it's like the music, the art style. And we've already seen through music and art style that they're going for that kind of classic Halo style. So it looks like Halo right off the bat. You're not not confused as to what it is. And I guess, yeah, walking away excited for more. I feel like it's still in its very early stages, so I'm not expecting gameplay. It would be amazing, but yeah, whatever they give, it just, you get that feeling of Halo. Halo is back, just something to be really excited about. And I do believe, I'm not sure if this is confirmed, but Halo Reach should be playable in some way. It seems like Microsoft stores have a beta version of Halo Reach or something that they're planning on running on the day of E3, something like that.
I didn't catch it. No,
I was talking to some Microsoft store individuals, and apparently they're planning some events around Halo for the E3. So I don't know. I hope we have something Reach related that we can at least play for the event. But anyway, a lot of exciting things to look forward to there. Hopefully people are happy with the results. And then, of course, you have Outpost Discovery before we jump into the Q&A. This sounds like an amazing initiative. You're hosting all 5 stops in Outpost Discovery. Tell me a bit about this, how exactly it works. I know that you have a couple amazing guests joining you as well.
Yeah, so as you see on screen, we're lucky to have, Steve and Jen on every stop on the tour, which is awesome, which got me even more excited about it. I was already signed on to the project in terms of paperwork when this was announced, but like I said, got me even more excited. I've been lucky to spend some time with Steve and Jen, and they are just great people, super friendly, super down to earth, really cool. But yeah, when I first heard about Outpost Discovery back when it was codenamed, when I was still at 343, as you can imagine, an event of this size has been they've been working on it for a long time. Right. So by the time that I had left 343, it was taking shape, but I wasn't too involved with it. And I was lucky that I got the phone call kind of late last year, early this year, to ask me if I wanted to be a part of it, and it's kind of an overwhelming, without a doubt, yes. As you can imagine, 5 cities all summer, it kind of takes over my whole summer, and I'm totally happy to let it do so. Yeah, we're in 5 cities. We go from Orlando to Philadelphia, I believe to Chicago, to Houston, to Anaheim, and it's every other week in the summer, every other weekend in the summer, starting on right around July 3rd, which will run you all the way to the very last days of August. I believe it'll cut right into about September 1st. Yeah, there's so much to do. The best way to explain it is if you head to Halo Outpost Discovery, if you just search for it, or HaloOutpostDiscovery.com. Tons of stuff. The list of things that I'm excited about. I've only seen kind of a few sneak peeks, a few floor plans, some behind the scenes stuff, and they've started to post some behind the scenes stuff too, which is really cool, which shows you the attention to detail that's going into some of the work. But when you think about Halo VR experiences, when you think about giant laser tag, obviously the Hog will be there, but I've also heard that it's going to be a brand new Warthog, which is wild because the last one was so impressive. Are
these drivable Warthogs too? Like they
I don't think so. No? Only reason I don't think so is because even the Warthog that we had when I was at 343, the Hog that was on display in LA these past few weeks at one of the shows, there's like one guy in the world who can drive that because of how the car was like commissioned, and then how the car's stored. To move the Hog is like insanely expensive because there's like one guy, one storage company that can like legally drive it in certain areas. But let me tell you, when that Hog, I haven't seen the new one, but when that Hog rolls through, we had it one time at the GameStop manager show in Anaheim. Okay. And when that thing starts up, just the way that she like purrs, and oh god, everyone stops like a tank, dead in their tracks to watch it. But the reason I don't think it's drivable is because, like I said, you have to have like some ridiculously weird specific certification of some sort.
Right. Some
to drive
specialist
that thing.
there. Yeah.
But yeah, essentially, when I heard about a traveling festival that was just all things Halo with tons of stuff to do, I think it's also great. The fact that it's there's stuff planned for kind of not just people around our age, but also kids as well is great because it's such a one of Halo's redeeming factors, and something we're so lucky to have is how it's multi-generational. So I think there's a lot of guys and girls that are going to want to be able to bring their kids or their younger brothers and sisters or things like that. So yeah, I've kind of only gotten a few glimpses behind the curtain, and I'm learning more and more as we get really close. But yeah, so excited to be a part of it, and I can't wait to kick things off in Orlando.
Right, and I'm sure we're going to see some updates from you as we get closer. And I guess you haven't fully figured out what your role is going to entail. I guess you just kind of have the microphone.
Oh no, I have a good idea. I have a good idea. I just don't know if I'll get in trouble for talking about it.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll let you stay quiet on it because I know that viewers have some questions in the chat here, and we'll finally get to some questions here. I've held you here at 7:40 where I am already, so I've got you here for such a long time. My bad. But we've got a couple more questions before we close out. Let's kick it up.
You're good. You're good. Take your time.
Right. I mean, I could talk all day, man. It's interesting, like really interesting listening to your Halo history and just how much you've accomplished so far. Especially because I think, are you like 26, 27?
It's kind of you. No, I just turned 29.
So 29. Okay, well, I mean, I'm 27. I'm basically the same age, and I'm just looking up to you. You know, trying to anyway, not to just gush, but let's get into the Q&A. Hermes God 10. According to Bravo, who are the best pro players throughout Halo 5?
For Halo 5. Oh man. Let's see. I think the first name that comes to mind is Shotzi. Just the way that Shotzi played the game. I mean, you're no stranger to it. You know, the content that you've done, content that you've done about
talks about it plenty.
Shotzi's movement, the way that he played the game. I'd say that whole side. You know, if you looked at the Splice guys, I think also the obviously you can't say that without talking about Tox. I think the very end of Halo 5, the way that Tox started to play, the speed and the aggression, the whole paradigm shift of how they played the game was pretty amazing to see them do that as well. If I think about kind of honorable mentions that aren't on those teams, one that definitely comes to mind is Pistola. I think just
always
it's exactly you can't put the guy I mean, very quick aside about Pistola. I swear it was one of the first times he'd ever played Halo 1 at the LAN network, just because he kind of, you know, is a few years younger and started really in Halo 2 on Xbox Live, and then his first Halo 2 tournament just started dominating. I remember losing before Ola had gone to an event. I remember playing free-for-alls against Pistola, never in free-for-all, never had a mic in, and this is when free-for-alls weren't yet unlimited scores. They were capped at 50, and oh man, I remember being in lobbies where Ola would win with 50 kills and people maybe had 31.
Oh my god,
maybe had 32. So I mean, what's amazing is one of the first times he played Halo 1, we're playing like a 2v2 prisoner or something, and someone tells me it's the first time Ola's playing Halo 1. So I go over and I look, and I'm watching him, like people are jumping off prisoner to do whatever, they're trying to get off a bad spawn, and he's just like hitting these threes over and over and over again, and I'm just like, you can't put a Halo game in front of Ola. Without so I'd say aside from him, if I had to think about some other players that I was really impressed with, Penguin. Loved always watching Penguin play Halo 5 the way that he played. Certainly one of my favorite players to watch. So I think those are kind of the ones that stick out. I think years from now that people will still remember the way that they played the game.
Right. Penguin still has so much left in his career to stand out as well. So for sure. As far as Ola, it was so satisfying watching Reciprocity win and then having the interview with Ola at the very end when he was kind of wondering whether or not his time was up as far as competition. He's been doing it for so long and then winning that event and saying, no, it's not done yet. Like there's something about that was just so satisfying. He did such a good job there. But it's so true. Like he's so talented. He's been doing it for such a long time. To finally get that win back and you know, to just remind yourself that you're capable, that you can accomplish it is it's pretty amazing to see, and especially for his fans. And then Tox and Splice. Tox was just dominant. It felt like Splice was the one team that really pushed Tox to kind of change and adapt, and then it felt like they really did adapt by the end, and they had figured it out. Agon Wastes. What is Bravo's hope for Halo Infinite multiplayer-wise?
So
we're going to get a couple of these.
How much time do we have? How much time do we have?
Start with
I mean, it's no secret. You know, my favorite Halo games were Halo 1, 2, and 3. So I think in the areas that game, the things that made a lot of the things that made those games great. I mean, we could spend a lot of time talking about the accidental things that made some of those, especially the first two, great. But yeah, I'd say you know, there's a lot to be said about the simplicity of those games, and that's not to say that I'm against other specific features, but I think that style of Halo is kind of my favorite kind of Halos. So I think as long as the game, but the bigger thing, right, is that there's a series of checks and balances that makes the multiplayer work.
Right.
You know, we could talk about sprint, no sprint all day. things like that. I mean, based off of my preferences in Halo, I think you know that I prefer no sprint Halo, but I'd say that a lot of the conversations around just feature A, feature B, probably not that valuable in the grand scheme. And I think if you fire up a game and you feel like the checks and balances that exist in multiplayer and the exact perfect balance of an MP title, if it has you wanting to play game after game after game after game, and it's all you want to do and it's all you want to think about, and you want to get on every night to grind, and everyone else feels that way too, is really all that matters to me. So there's a lot of ways for that to happen, and like I said, I have no idea what the gameplay will be like. But I'd say multiplayer wise, I kind of want a game that just makes me say one more game, and then before I know it, it's 4 a.m. and I'm just grinding with my friends. So however the 343 multiplayer team can pull that off, and I'm sure that's what they're trying to do.
Right.
However they can pull that off, I'm on board. I think I want really in terms of map design, I want maps that really have just a lot that really make you think. I think maps that have tons of kind of replayability. If I look, I could play. How many times have I played a lockout ball? How many times have I played a sent flag? And somehow it stays interesting, right? And I'm not a map design guy or a designer at all. But there's something about a lot, and that's not to say, for example, I think Coliseum is kind of going to be Halo 5's map that is remembered as the cover of Halo 5 multiplayer, if you will. Yeah. So I'm not saying that map design is exclusive to earlier titles. I think there have been great maps, but kind of, and then I'd say in terms of weapons, abilities, things like grenades, items, projectiles, explosives, stationary things, deployables, all that. Sure. Like, as long as it all results in a multiplayer that has the right checks and balances, and that still has a lot of room for surprises. If you think about things like we saw in the Halo 3 BTB that were just like, crazy things with this is happening with a Banshee and then Warthogs are flying this way. I think leave room for the crazy physics shit for sure. It doesn't have to be all kind of super cut and dry, this, that about competitive gameplay. I just said a lot of things in no specific order, but that's kind of top of my head. If I'm playing Halo Infinite, however long from now, I want to be glued to my seat because I can't put the game down.
Yeah, 343 literally has the hardest question to answer is how they could do that, how they could make it relentlessly fun all the time. You get on, you don't want to stop playing. Next thing you know, it's 4 a.m. and you spent your whole day on it. And then
it's so hard to do in this market too, because there's so many games. There's if you look at something like Halo 3 and you look at Modern Warfare, and those two games as they went up against each other, right? Nobody could hit a button on their Xbox guide button and jump over to Netflix. It's a tough market to do what I just described in, but I think that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, and I think there is some value in kind of the simplicity of the classic titles at first glance, like kind of just getting into it. It's very simple, but then over time there is a lot of depth for the hardcore guys. So trying to nail that balance somehow where it's very inviting, very approachable for new players, but still has the depth, still has the nuance. With the maps too, like they're built out in a way that really encourages some sort of intricate strategy, or maybe it's something to do with the symmetricality of the maps. Because Coliseum was a symmetrical map. Truth, like some of the best maps were symmetrical, even though Plaza I felt like worked and was a bit of a weird one. But
I think I like ASIM maps, especially like ASIM maps if the objective makes sense. Here's a crazy thought. I mean, we've never seen like competitive, like round based tournament game types. Am I correct in saying that? Right, we haven't
competitive.
Have we ever seen, like, for example, one flag in a tournament? Not that I know of. Fact check me. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see. I'm just totally throwing out ideas here, but like, game types like one flag lockout, one flag ivory tower. They're definitely zany and stuff, but I think there's stuff like that would be pretty cool too. I think there's a lot of goodness that could fit into the kind of the into multiplayer in that sense. But yeah, you use two great words though. I think depth and nuance, the right mix of depth and nuance and speed, and that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, yeah. I keep thinking about how, because I know people are saying, sprint versus no sprint, and a lot of people are in that kind of no sprint camp or whatever it is. I feel like if you look at the abilities in Halo 5, sprint is the one that I feel like you could remove and the game would still be like really enjoyable and move fast. I'm just wondering if there's a way that they could like revolutionize no sprint. So not having it there, but still giving you the feeling that you're moving quickly around the map and you're strafing quickly and all of that matters. And around the abilities, and it kind of takes out a button that you have to press every time when you're moving, and it brings back that simplicity. I don't know, but then making the Spartans look like they're super powered,
Yeah, I think and I think what you're getting at there, which I agree with, is like how can we, what are the creative ways to solve these problems while still adding depth and nuance to the gameplay? Yeah, I'm totally with you there.
It's interesting for sure. It's going to be very tough scale to balance. I think the biggest thing after they release it is just they're listening and updating on the fly and keeping up with us. And, there's how quickly they can, continue that service if there are issues that arise. Anyway, LT Riles, question for Bravo. What do you think makes the Halo community so special?
Oh, man. Yeah, there's so much. I think the first thought that I have is that a lot of us have the same kind of roots to the game, which kind of is what I alluded to earlier, right at the beginning of the show, which is we have these fond memories of either playing these LAN parties with these big original Xboxes, and you've got tube TVs and there's Ethernet cables running all around the house. A lot of us have that kind of common ground. And then maybe if you started to play later, right, your first memory is simply jumping on Xbox Live and playing with people from across the world for the first time, and you're playing major clan matches, and it's absolute chaos and the kind of the first experience that you may have had like that. And I think all of that combined also gives you such a long, rich history. We talked about the multi-generational stuff earlier as well, but it gives you this really rich history of years and years together. And a lot of the people, I mean, there's a lot of players in both professional scene, top amateur players that have been coming to these events with each other for so many years. If you look at kind of the first tournaments right around 2003, 2004 is when they started to gain a little more steam than the earlier events in 2002. But I think all three of those things are pretty special. And I think also there's so many examples of different aspects of the game that resonate with people. So you have, there's one of the questions actually I was asked when I interviewed at 343, which I thought was a really great question, was if you had to divide the Halo community to a few slices, how would you do it? And what's incredible is there's no less than several dozen ways to answer that question.
Right.
And there's actually no right way, So you could think of it as if you think about kind of, there's so many rich parts of the community that have also done amazing things. So all of Rooster Teeth and everything they've created with Red versus Blue, and then you also have all these different multiplayer segments with Griff Ballers. Then you also have campaign speedrunners. You have these kind of competitive players, and it's just like, then just lore fanatics. I think there's so many ways to fall in love with Halo, and then also I think that as a result, you find different people in the community that are kind of into that same thing as you. So really, there's just no shortage of things to really love and enjoy about the game and the community. I think that has brought people together, and hopefully will continue to bring people together for many, many years to come.
Yeah. Halo's always been known for being incredibly diverse, like such a massive package. And I think Halo 3 was the perfect example of that, and the timing that it came out, just everything it came with, whether you're Forge or you're playing, social multiplayer, competitive multiplayer, there's just so much to it and so many ways to enjoy it. And especially just when it happened is like LAN parties and things like that, they just don't happen to the degree that they did back in the day. That was the only way to play your games, was to go to your buddy's house and sit there with them on split screen. I think the relationships that you formed through that, through those events, it's just, you can't have that today. You can't. Fortnite is not the same, type of community when it's all online, and maybe you go to a Microsoft store or something, but it's not the same as staying up till 4 a.m. drinking those little chubby drinks and eating Doritos and shit.
That's true.
Yeah. Anyway, Luongo Pro, ask Brav what the highlight of his Halo career was after competing included. Okay.
So the highlight period or the whole career?
Sure.
Man,
tough one.
I would have to say, I'll give you two if that's okay.
Okay.
I'll give you one and then an honorable mention. I think the first one would be winning the first event with the triggers down. Because I had been going to events for so many years at that point.
Right.
And I mean, I grew up watching STK 3D, kind of on their whole rise. I had seen so many finals, so to be with a group of guys that really meant a lot to me, and then winning kind of the final seconds of that game in Halo 3 and just ripping. I remember ripping my headset off. We just kind of erupt. We'd put so much into kind of trying to win those events, and knowing that I had just won one of the events that I mean, I never would have thought that years prior that I would have had a chance to be a part of an MLG tournament winning roster. So that one, I remember whenever I'd watch that clip, I'd get chills. Of course, now that clip's only available in like 240p.
Right. Everything is
so it's about that big on a computer.
Yeah.
But so that one sticks out as a huge one. And I'd say also right before we did the Halo 4 Global Championship, just because there was so much that came together to get a production like that going. I remember like sitting down the day of the finals, I think, and watching like the final rehearsals, and like it hit me pretty hard that we had created something pretty cool in terms of that stage and that production. I was really happy about that. So those are kind of probably the big two ones that stick out.
Awesome. Definitely big experiences. Yu-Gi-Oh! Tools, do you think the same path that you took to become a content creator caster is available now when it was back a decade ago? If you had the same goals and started today, is there a different way to approach becoming a coach or content creator or caster? Good question.
Oh yeah, let's see. I do think it was a lot less crowded back then. So there certainly was, I think, for people who there's a lot of people who want to put in the time and the hours, and it was simply a lot less crowded back then. And then I probably owe a little bit of my success to the fact that it was less crowded. I absolutely still think the path is there, without a doubt. I mean, you can look at you might even argue that it's more so there from the specific path of content creator / streamer, YouTuber to caster, and even interchangeably vice versa. Because if you look at kind of what's happening in some of the titles that are very well funded right now, just to use Fortnite as an example, right? You have events where it's Golden Boy and Courage and Lupo all together kind of casting at the Fortnite Cups. And I mean, those, it's 3 content creators that kind of made the transition to caster, or even with the example of Courage, it's kind of back. It's kind of more like cyclical with Courage, where he was working for MLG, then casting, then content, then more casting, then more content. So I think that loop is even more further enforced because it was established 10 years ago, you have major studios that are going to be looking at their top creators, and not necessarily even top creators. If you look at a good example of casting that was done, I think, is Overwatch League, because you do have there are superstar casters there. There's the Puckets, right, and there's the Mr. X's that have big followings, but there's a lot of guys from other titles and the Monte Cristos, but there's other guys from other titles who have lesser followings, but that are really talented analysts and things of that nature that also come from the content creation background. So I think that path will continue to be available. And I think you'd obviously, as a content creator, whether you're streaming or you're creating content on YouTube, I think you want to tailor your content that way. I think my content generally, especially during the end of Reach, and then some stuff for Halo 3, was pretty, it was pretty tactical in nature. It was things like how to break setups or highlighting specific examples, to be honest, not too dissimilar from a lot of the clips that you do and a lot of the content that you create. But I'd say as a content creator, if you do have your eye on casting, I'd say making your content, structuring your content in a way that a game studio can quickly be like, wow, this guy's going to be great on a desk, or this girl's going to be great on a desk, because they're already creating this analytical content, and I want them to bring that to my show. And now you also have, if you look at examples like Respawn's a good example, right? They've got dedicated influencer. Granted, it's an EA studio, but they've got or EA project rather. You've got these dedicated influencer managers that are now at the studio that are looking for these people. So it's no longer this like black box of where these multiplayer people are kind of working with a tournament operator like MLG, and then MLG is MLG being a TO example, is the exclusive partner looking for talent. Instead, now these studios are going out themselves and they're picking out talent lineups. I got off the phone with someone. I got off the phone with someone else who is a head of broadcast at another studio, and now you have casters who are talking directly to someone who has a title head of broadcast for the game studio itself. So I guess what I'm getting at is there are now more eyes on finding those creators than there even were. So it's a more crowded space, but at the same time, there are more game developers very intentionally looking for the right folks. So I think the path is absolutely available. Yeah.
But it does all kind of start at content creation, though, I think, which is the big thing there is like, yes, that's great. Now there are people actively seeking it out. There's bigger opportunities. It's a busier space, but I guess it all comes from creating some form of content and putting yourself out there as much as you can, as best that you can. And, getting those opportunities, I guess, as a result.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Good question, though. Thank you, Yu-Gi-Oh. Toucan SSBM, what's your most controversial contrarian Halo opinion?
That's a great question. Gosh. I'm sure I have some. Let me think of what it could be.
Controversial Halo opinion.
What do I think that most people don't think about Halo? Darn it! There was a tweet along these lines, like one of those giant quote chains, that was unpopular opinion about Halo, and I want to say I had an idea. What would be something that? Let's see. I saw someone posted that Halo 1 multiplayer is like it was like a quote, quoted on Twitter with like unpopular Halo opinion thread, and someone was like Halo 1 multiplayer is not good. I was like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, that's not much of an opinion.
That's how you get jumped.
Yeah.
Man, let's see. I'm trying to think about what. I mean, generally my stuff's pretty in line, I'd say, with your average competitive Halo player that was brought up during my age. Let me think of either some weapon or some map stuff that I'm sure people will disagree with. I guess here's one. Halo 3 multiplayer is not that great. How's that?
Just in general?
I mean, I don't think it's like wildly nuanced.
Okay.
No, I said that. I said that in a way to generate reactions.
Yeah, that would be controversial.
No, but to get into a more accurate version of what I meant there is that Halo 3 multiplayer is the moment to moment gameplay design that would be done by like a multiplayer team is not that nuanced and does not actually allow for that many interesting plays. I think what makes Halo 3 great is everything combined. So things like map design, how the weapons work, the importance of team shooting, even objective placements, the flow of the game, the actual flow states that you can get into. I think all of that together makes an incredible multiplayer experience. But if I'm like watching, say, just moment to moment Halo 3 gameplay out of context, not blowing my mind, right? In the same way where, for example, in Halo 1, someone can pop into a room and deliver the most perfect of 3 shots that you've ever seen and get away with it. In Halo 2, someone can do some ridiculous stuff with a series of button glitches, right? Granted, and that's getting into kind of the territory that I talked about with some, unintentional things that ended up in Halo multiplayer. But
that's what I thought you were alluding to as far as depth, because that's where the Halo 2 and Halo 1 depth is, and like the weapon launching and stuff in Halo 1 and all the crazy spawn manipulation stuff that you could do. So, I mean, and that is interesting. So I can kind of agree with you there that Halo 3 doesn't have as much of that.
Right. Like, for example, I could play endless amounts of Halo 3 if I'm sitting down for like random 8s. I can't play random amounts of Halo 3 if I'm playing like solo matchmaking searching.
Okay.
But Halo 1 and Halo 2, I could probably fire up and just solo search all day. If you know what I mean. The moment to moment gameplay interaction is not dependent on a whole lot of other factors to be crazy exciting. Yeah. But I had to give you something spicy, so there you go.
Yeah, I know. He gave you the question. You're like, shoot, I just said Halo 3 multiplayer is bad. Now I got to spend all this time trying to talk my way around it.
No, I didn't need to. I didn't need to talk my way around it. I just needed to explain it. I think
that's fair. That's fair.
And hopefully, some people disagree with me. That was the point of the question. So
right. And yeah, controversial. Yeah, it's got to be controversial. His last question from Onset. Shout outs to Onset in the chat. Dark fruits or chicken legend? Dark fruits or chicken legend?
Is it only an or?
It just says or. Dark fruits or chicken legend? Only you would know this. I'm not gonna.
The fact that you said it just says or makes the whole thing even better, and Mark knows exactly what I mean. Yeah, it's a trick question because it's actually the answer is both. It's both dark fruits and chicken legend.
Okay.
And that's it. It's pretty. Yeah, he was trying to trick me, and it's.
Is there too much of a backstory to get into to explain what that means? Chicken legend sounds like a Asian food restaurant or something.
No, it's not too much of a backstory, but it's also nowhere near interesting enough to share on the program. I'd say if you ever find yourself in the UK, make your priorities getting yourself dark fruits and a chicken legend and really together ideally, but in any order and a lot of both, and you'll pretty much guaranteed a good time.
All right. Thank you for the recommendation. I'll see what I can do. Looks like Tashi's jumped in here last second, and I believe this is our last question as well. So thank you, Tashi, for joining us. Favorite Tashi-ism?
Tashi-ism. Okay, so Tashi-isms are like a really important aspect of I'd say just being really good friends with Tashi. So Tashi will accidentally omit words from both emails and regular speech. And in doing so, sounds like really Eastern European.
Okay.
Oh man. Let's see. I got
it's tough to recreate. You got to do it with the voice and everything. It's going
to be. Let's see. No, I won't butcher an accent. Favorite Tashi-isms. Oh man, there's so many good ones. Oh gosh. I guess, I mean, the one that comes to mind, the reason it's top of my head is we just laughed about it on Xbox Live like 2 nights ago. But one time, everyone was like, hey, Tosh, we're about to go, go to this restaurant. Did you want to come with us or whatever? And so we're all about to either jump in the car or walk. No one really knows what they're going to do. And Tashi accidentally busts into a full Russian accent. He's just like, it's a nice day. I walk. And we all kind of looked at him like, wait, why did you say it like that? He's like, what? And we were like, you realize you just said it like a full blown Russian accent. He's like, oh, right. Sorry, I don't know what happened. And you'll just get these moments of greatness from Tosh, which are pretty good. But I'm excited. I don't even know when I'm going to see this guy again. Oh, actually, no, I do. He should be at E3. So hopefully I'll see him there.
Yeah, a lot of exciting things to come, and yeah, I guess man, a few words. It sounds better that way, right? You don't need all those fancy words in your sentence to get the point across.
Tashi definitely doesn't need them,
especially when he's a big hulking dude too. Like you wouldn't take a second glance at it and be like, okay, all right, that's it. That is.
People don't tend to question him.
No, you wouldn't question him. Anyway. All right. Well, that does cover our Q&A and the interview overall. Bravo. Thank you so much for joining me, man. So much great history to delve into. It looks like we actually got to cover quite a lot of it, but I know there's a lot more. But yeah.
Probably covered the interesting bits and probably some of the uninteresting bits. So apologies for the fact that I undoubtedly rambled and told probably more stories than needed to be told.
It was a fun time overall. It was great having you on, man. And hopefully I get to see you again in the near future. I know you're so busy. You got Outpost Discovery. I'm in Toronto, so it's not really near me. And unfortunately, I'm not going to E3 as well. But we don't know what Halo is going to bring as far as events. And hopefully there's some big new events to be announced and some opportunities to maybe produce some content together. It'd be awesome to join you one day casting.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I was going to say, I was just thinking, we got to get you in the booth more. I would love to. It'd be awesome. Whether it's on a desk or on a booth or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I feel like desk is just the desk just calls me. I don't know what it is. I just want to be on that desk. I'd love to be there, but I'd love to cast too. I just want to hang out with you guys. All right. Anyway, thank you so much, Bravo. And I'll see you around, dude.
Thank you, man. Peace.
All right, guys, that closes our interview for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, if you stuck around to the very end and you typed !grassroots in the chat, that made you eligible. I can't even say that word. Eligible to win a BR skin and Grassroots nameplate. Tony, who's our winner? Who do we got? It's I'm Bear Toe wins the BR skin and nameplate. Congratulations. Enjoy your goodies. And of course, before we close the show, we also have our merch. You can feel free to check that out as well. Tony, throw up the merch. There you go. Everything you buy here not only supports UGC, it also supports me as well. And I would highly appreciate that, guys. Thank you once again for joining us on HCS Weekly. Stay tuned. We got plenty more action or HCS Weekly news planned for next week.